And that's what everybody's kind of upset about. And my take on that is, who cares? I don't care what this team looks like without Joel Embiid, because Joel Embiid is going to be the reason why you win the championship or you don't win the championship. So I know it's frustrating that they look poor, and Ben Simmons pissed me off picking up that third and fourth foul, because that's all on him, and that's IQ of the game to understand where you are right now and where you are with the fouls. You can't put yourself in that position whatsoever. So clearly, I'm just so annoyed with Ben. But at the end of the day, I just feel how this team plays without Joel is so irrelevant, because Joel Embiid and how they play with him is strong to this point, and that's the only way you're ever going to succeed anyway. So
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
It's like if you play the game without Embiid and you lose, why would you be upset? Because if you don't have Embiid, you're not winning anything anyway.
Right.
It's a rational thought.
Thanks, but I'm somewhere in between.
Great job out of you.
Thank you. This is where I'm torn, though, because I hate how it goes from you look like a great team to you look like a team that can't hang with the 3-win team. Like, there's got to be somewhere in between, right? So, like, I'm annoyed with that and irritated a little bit, because I don't think it should be as extreme of a drop, but I understand why there would be a drop at the same time. Like, because it's pretty ugly how bad it gets. Like, why does it fall that much?
I agree. You shouldn't lose a game to Detroit just because Joel Embiid's not there.
Right.
They're good enough to win without Joel Embiid, with what they had left over. You have Ben Simmons, an all-star. Tobias Harris, who's a borderline all-star. And he did. He was the one guy who did play well last night. You've got Curry and Green, guys who've, Green's won 2 championships in a row. They are way more accomplished than that Detroit lineup that they threw out there last night. So extremely disappointing. The question would be, why was it so disappointing? Why are they so bad when Joel Embiid? Who gets the blame for that? Who do you look at and say why? And the only thing, there's 2 things I look at here from that game last night. One, it is clear and evident that they are simply a man short. They are not good enough. If they want to compete with Brooklyn, Milwaukee, I know they just beat Boston twice in a row, but in the 7-game series in the playoffs, it's going to be different. Miami, when they get healthy, I mean, they've been a mess with no Jimmy Butler for the last couple of weeks. When push comes to shove, that game last night tells you everything you need to know. If you don't have Joel Embiid and that's the outcome, you're not good enough. So Daryl Morey, this has been fun. You're the top team in the East. They got to get better. And there's 2 avenues that they can use to get better. And this is where I think you got to decide right now. What do you want to do? Do you want to use Ben Simmons to get better, or do you want to add another piece that's maybe a lesser player to those 2 guys? I think that's what you have to look at this point right now.
Well, I think if you legitimately want to seriously take that step, where you're going to get significantly better would be Ben Simmons, because other teams view him as a piece that they want to build around, and it'll get you the most back in return. But you take a hit on the other side when it comes to defense.
Does he get you the most back in return, but is it, you're just going at it from a different angle and you're still not good enough? Or is it better for you to keep Simmons, trade maybe, I don't know, Dybul, Maxey, Milton, like that younger group of guys, to get like a more, you would almost be getting back like a Tobias Harris type of player, you would guess.
Yeah, if not maybe even a step below that. So I don't know if I would want to go down that road. I don't think that road's good enough. Like if you add that piece, that you're getting a piece lower than Tobias Harris to your team, and you're losing Matisse, Shake, and Tyrese Maxey, not that they're not replaceable, I don't think that makes this team that championship team that we're talking about. I think you get a similar outcome as you did last night if you were to play that game.
So that's the story, really. From that game last night, it's, if you're watching that game and you're the Sixers, you've played a lot. You're down Joel. You're on the road, back-to-back. The game that you thought you might have lost was the one on Saturday night. It's back-to-back. It's on the road. You win that game because Embiid goes bananas. If he's not there going nuts, what would have happened last night would have happened on Saturday night. It just was you got delayed by 2 days or a day or 2. And now if you're Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers, you have to understand, if this guy doesn't play and this is what's left over, we're not good enough. Because, look, Milton, he's not
consistent enough yet. That's all. He's got
to rely on him.
Right.
I can't say I'm going into a 7-game series against the Milwaukee Bucks and hoping that Shake Milton scores me 15 points. right?
Yeah, you would need more than that. You would need 22, 24. And I don't know if you can actually sit there and demand it because he's not there yet. Can he grow into that? Sure. Is he there now?
Right.
No.
He's not ready to do that. Maxey's another one. I mean, you're watching last night, you realize Maxey's a young player. I mean, he's a young player, and you can't rely on him to go into a playoff series and say, hey, can you get me 12? Can you get me 15? I mean, you're asking a lot.
I agree with you. Now, what do you take away from Ben Simmons last night? Because the foul trouble, it just annoys me so much. That third foul he picked up on Blake shouldn't have been there. Then the fourth one. He actually came into the game in the third quarter and helped that team go out on a nice run. They went to like an 8-0 run, helped the Sixers climb back, and then Blake Griffin gives a horrendous pump fake at the top of the three-point line. He bites to pick up his fourth 5 minutes into the third quarter.
Yeah.
That pissed me off, Gill. It really did.
Yeah, I mean, it was frustrating. The 3 and 7 minutes. I mean, you're like, my God, like, you know, he was not good last night in terms of the whole package. He just was not a winning player last night.
Yeah, he took a 3, though. His last 3 threes, 2 air balls, and one that came up so short, it just nicked the rim to make you feel good about it, but that's not, that doesn't make me feel good.
It looks like they set that play up for him.
It does.
Too.
That corner 3, they like that out of him. That's his most comfortable spot.
I agree with Allah. I don't have a problem with that.
No, I don't either. I just, he's 1 for 6 on the year with it.
It's a one shot in the flow of a game. It's not like he's shooting it in the biggest moment of the game. I mean, look, he has to feel comfortable that if I take one shot in the middle of the third quarter, like, that's okay.
Yeah, and it wasn't ugly. Like, it's not an ugly, like, for Ben Simmons, it's not an ugly looking J for what we've seen before. So I think it just sticks out to me that the last 3 were extremely short. Like, is that telling me something? I don't know. If the next one's an air ball, if the next one's extremely short, at what point do we, bundle that information and make an assessment on the 3s coming up really, really short?
To me, though, watching that game last night, that's my thought. That's the avenues, is you have to make the decision. How do I get this team better? Because the way Joel Embiid is playing right now, it's evident he's ready to lead this team, but he needs more. Daryl Morey has to be sitting there scouring teams and saying, who is available and what can I offer to get this man someone, as I said before, to be his Pippen?
Well, there's 2 guys that realistically come to mind, and we kind of discussed it, whether it's Bradley Beal and Zach LaVine. Like, I don't know what else you're just going to magically snap your fingers and see available. Now, I remember when the Harden stuff was going down, there were reports that, there were some trade offers for the Sixers for Ben Simmons, and him and Doc Rivers have talks, and if Doc Rivers doesn't want to do it and doesn't feel comfortable, they communicate about it and they come to a decision. So how much of this is Doc Rivers saying, I want this guy. I want to continue to work with Ben because I feel we can win with him.
There's no problem if he's saying that, but then Daryl Morey has to get creative and find another avenue.
Or this is somewhat of a season where Daryl Morey looks at it as, look, I got rid of what we needed to in Al Horford. We got back Green and Ferguson. Their money will be off the books next year. This is just step 1 of a 3-step process. Give me time.
That's an interesting take because entering this season, that's what most people looked at this season. Have the expectations been altered now because of where they are, what they look like, how things are going? Like, coming into this year, I don't think people thought this was a finals team. Look, they were the 6th seed. They got swept. This season was supposedly about, hey, Daryl Morey cleared out some contracts. Not, hey, this team's ready to win a championship, right?
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I came in here saying 4, 5, 6 seed, fighting with the Miamis, the Bostons. Like, I thought they would just fall in that category again. And if they rise to the top of that, maybe they can be a 4 seed. But after seeing them play with their starting 5, I thought maybe that they were better than that in terms of regular season standings, and maybe they can fall higher or I guess rise higher. But I don't know if they had enough star power to actually win a championship. I just thought maybe they would have a better regular season than I anticipated. But you don't fix that Al Horford contract, and you don't fix what they were in a messy situation with last year in just one trade. So you got to give Daryl Morey time to work with. I wonder what his mindset is on time.
All right. This text message goes into the Hall of Fame of the worst. Guys, there were many fans, including yourselves, that thought they should trade Embiid and keep Simmons if you had to break them up. Never. I would never trade Embiid. He's not the guy I would trade. No.
A couple of years ago, sure. I thought
you could take the blame for that. Not blame me.
A couple of years ago, I said that I still had that love for Ben, that he'd grow and he would learn to shoot and he would do all that. And I questioned if a center can win a championship being the ultimate guy. So sure, a couple of years ago, did I say that? Absolutely. And I'm not in the minority. I thought there was probably a split in this fan base. 50% would have said Ben. 50% would have said Joel.
I have been on the side that I don't need to break the two up. They can play together.
I agree with that. I'm not one of those, there's no way they can play together at all. But if you had to choose one, did I choose the Ben side over the years? Yeah, I did.
I have been on the Embiid side. I have always said Joel Embiid is what doesn't exist in this league. LeBron James, Kevin Durant. There's two guys that have a skill set that nobody else has. Joel Embiid is one of those guys that has a skill set that nobody else in the league has. And that's why I can't get rid of him. You know, people, I don't know if he can win with a center. He's more than a center. He's in everything.
Yeah.
He's the unicorn. He might be raw, immature, young at times, but his skill set is you can't duplicate what he does. Nobody else in this league can do what he does. Therefore, you cannot trade Joel Embiid. Never would I have made that argument.
I think one of the reasons why I felt that way in the past was the injury history and, you know, that he was this guy also very raw to the game as well. For him to click in so mentally and really find a way to learn the game the way that he has, because he started playing basketball at such an old age that, you know, that was a little bit concerning with me on top of all the injury history. I didn't know if his body would be able to really hold up. And to this point, we still don't know that answer. But yeah, he's grown so much and so quickly that I take back that thought I had a couple years ago for sure.
On Periscope watching us, that's the Twitter feed, it's Philadelphia 89 saying we need a backup power forward. Otherwise, we are full. We are solid. I think they need more than a backup power forward.
Yeah, Doc's been really big on that, though, because with Mike Scott being out, like Tobias is playing 41 minutes, 42 minutes, and Ben's in foul trouble. What do you do with that forward position? You're in a little bit of a pickle. I think Daryl Morey, as much as we want to talk about the next star or whatever, if that's not the case and he elects to kind of just say, hey, let this ride out, I think that forward position is something they're going to target at a trade deadline.
Yeah, and I don't know how much faith they have in Mike Scott once he comes back, if they're just waiting on him. But I think they need two things. That guy's right. They do need that position to give Tobias a little bit. I think they need – this is interesting. What is it that they need? I think they need – because Tobias scoring 20 a game, you're almost like, okay, well, they have a secondary
efficiently,
scorer.
Too. Efficiently.
He shot well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's shooting, 40-something% from three. So – I can't sit here and criticize it. I feel like what you need, though, is a more polished veteran version of what Milton's giving you.
Would that be, I'm just throwing this name out there. I don't think it's a reality, of course, but a Lou Williams. Is that what you mean by that?
He would be right. He would be a veteran guy who can get a bucket. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the Sixers, like Tobias Harris still, I don't know that I trust him in the big moment to put the ball on the floor and get to the rack and score.
No, he'll step out of bounds. He did that a couple games ago on the dribble handoff.
Yeah, I still don't feel like, okay, he can create his own shot. Like Milton can create his own shot. I just don't know if he can create his own shot when it matters the most. So I need the guy that can put the ball on the floor, create a shot.
Can you get that without giving up a Ben Simmons?
Well, yeah, if you want a veteran guy, that's the rub. Do I want an older guy that another team is saying, you're looking at a losing team that has an older player who's scoring for them, and they're willing to take two younger guys?
Well, how about this? What if you got a better – because I think Bradley Beal is a better version that we're talking about here. So if you can get
now
Bradley
you're going
Beal,
to a level where you would need to go – to the Ben Simmons level.
Right, but
I'm looking at a way to get someone by keeping Ben Simmons.
Okay, right.
Because I feel like if I give Ben Simmons up, I'm right back where I started. I'm still a man short.
I would agree with you. You're probably still a man short. Yeah, so that puts you in a
and
a
not
tough
only
spot.
are you a man short, you've now turned into this defensive stalwart team to I don't know what you are. If I get Zach LaVine, I'm not a defensive-minded team. He stinks defensively.
Right, yeah.
He has gotten a little better.
What you need to see, though, is, you know, as we always talk about, when the game becomes more of this half-court set, when Joel Embiid is in the paint in that area, because you have that rim protector in Joel Embiid, who is so damn good defensively, would that allow for you to be a bit softer by the perimeter because you do have that protection in the paint? And look, I
don't know. There was times last night, I mean, Simmons, he's switching on guys. He's covering Griffin. He's covering Grant. He covered every guy they had.
No, I agree with you. But I'm just saying, because if you didn't have Joel, obviously, there's way more room for guys to operate on the other side. Can you be softer by the perimeter just because you have that safety behind you? That gives you more of an opportunity to do it if you were to do it.
Brodes, to me, it changes the whole complexity of your team.
It does. It really does. I mean, you're trading Ben Simmons. It does.
You're trading Ben Simmons, so you're trading a first-team all-defensive player. You're trading one of the best open court players in the league, a tremendous passer, a phenomenal rebounder, a guy who basically does everything except for one thing.
Yeah, but that one thing is crushing.
Well, that's why I'm saying if you got this guy, but you're giving up Thibault and maybe Milton, or Thibault and Maxey, or Thibault, like you have to really come to terms with, I might have to give up a couple young pieces to get a more veteran player. You're willing to take a shot now.
See, I'm almost at the point where if you're doing that and it screws up everything because Tobias is playing so well at the power forward position, I think that guy you're talking about, that veteran guy, I would love for him to be the legitimate primary ball handler and have Ben play off the ball a bit. But then that takes away what he's so good at, and that's getting his teammates wide open. But that's where I think I would be more comfortable right now.
Jordan Tate's watching on YouTube, says Embiid is my MVP or number 2 next to either LeBron or Durant. Yeah, I mean,
LeBron, by the way. Wow.
He had a great game last night.
He is playing the best. I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I honestly feel like he's playing arguably his best basketball of his career.
It's crazy, right?
It's unreal. I love watching this guy play. It's crazy. We'll see him on Wednesday.
I would say, though, how much did the Sixers losing to the Pistons without Joel Embiid say maybe he is the MVP?
Oh, for sure it does. Did you see the difference? Like, here's one thing that bothers me, though.
Garbage.
I was so proud of the way that Ben, Joel, and Tobias played that second half of a back-to-back, and they won, because in the years past, that was their rest day. But then for them to follow up what I was so proud with sitting Joel Embiid for a rest day, am I supposed to feel good about what they did in the first game against Detroit, or does this deflate that a bit?
Yeah, I hear that. It's, oh, man, it's like you want to buy in, but and it's like one of those things like, oh, well, it's a regular season game. Even if they did play well, and you're beating the tomorrow night should be an interesting one.
Well, I said if they beat this team on Wednesday, is anyone going to give a damn about what happened last night? No,
of course not.
No.
That's why last night to me is what you said at the beginning. You lost the game without Joel Embiid. If I get to the playoffs and Joel Embiid's not playing, I ain't winning.
Right. Yo, you have no shot in hell if Joel Embiid's not playing. So it shouldn't matter what this team looks like.
And it's the Ben Simmons conversation, kind of. It's, well, if Ben Simmons doesn't have these other guys out there, you're not winning. You need the team. It's not a one-man team. It's a team. Joel Embiid is the most important player of the one-man team, but with him out, what you got left isn't good enough.
It's definitely not.
You take Seth Curry off, that affects Ben Simmons, and that makes your team not good enough. You put them all together, yeah, good enough.
What do you think about Mike Scott with the polo coming after Josh Jackson a little bit there on the sidelines?
I think Mike Scott was looking for any reason to get off the sidelines.
Oh, you think so? He's like, I'm sick of this. Get me out of here. I thought it was funny, though.
I got to keep watching this? No.
Yeah, one Piston player, not one Pistons player came to Josh Jackson's defense. Well, I think I saw every man off the Sixers bench give a little shoulder shrug like, yo, what are you talking about?
Josh Jackson had no room for nothing.
He's a bum.
Yeah.
He's a bum.
People wanted the Sixers to draft him.
Yeah, I mean, I remember him coming out of Kansas a couple of years back. He's been on 3 teams.
Who'd they get that year?
I don't remember who.
Was that the year they took Okafor? Or was that the year who'd they take the year?
This is his third year in the league. So
there was a lot of people whose opinion that I respect, too, that thought he was going to be a difference maker.
Yeah. Oh, that was the Fultz year.
Oh, because the Sixers had the third pick.
Yes.
And then they traded to get Fultz.
Right.
So if they would have stayed in the third spot, there's a chance they might have taken Jackson because Tatum would have gone 1. Well, no, because you would have taken Fultz at 3.
Yeah, it would have.
Tatum would have gone 1. Ball would have gone 2. The Sixers, the jackasses, traded up to 1 to go get Fultz. They would have got him at 3 anyway.
Well, what happens if the Boston Celtics actually took Fultz and Tatum was available at 3 and they still picked Jackson?
And then they took Jackson, yeah.
I can't write that one off.
Speaking of like passing on guys and all this stuff, I was listening to radio in Seattle last night. For whatever reason.
Yeah, I do that sometimes. Pick some random cities.
They're talking about how DK Metcalf, that what a bad guy is and that he's a diva and like they're sick of him out there.
Wow.
And that they think he was part of the problem late in the year while the offense was falling apart. They had a lot of offensive problems out there late. They were kind of blaming him that he wanted the ball more. See, Howie Roseman did his homework.
Oh, stop it. Don't you dare do that. That's interesting, though. Look, he's a diva. I also hear Aaron Rodgers is a diva. Everyone's a diva in there. Every city has their diva, right? Isn't that kind of how it goes?
Yeah. Luis Cruz is watching on Facebook, says, without Joel, we can't win. We need another piece. Our roster is good, not great. And, Luis, you're right on the money. The Sixers are a good, solid team. They're the 1 seed right now, but there's a lot of problems around the league. It's a good team. They're better than I think we thought they were going to be. They're not good enough, right?
So what do we do from here? Do we accept the fact that they're not good enough and wait for Daryl Morey to have a couple of years to put his fingerprints on the roster? Or do we demand something now because you have somewhat of a chance to maybe
I
make
have
a spark?
Joel Embiid playing at an MVP level. I think you owe it to him to go for it.
I agree with you on that for sure.
Jay Digga is watching on YouTube. He says Embiid is the MVP of the league. His numbers prove it, and the team can't win without him. He is the most valuable player. I think, Jay, you might be right. Right now, he was the the Eastern Conference Player of the Week, which his numbers were astronomical.
33 and 11, I believe the full week played out for. So that's what he averaged in the last week of basketball. He was putting up 40-point performances against the Boston Celtics. At this point, I sit down and watch this team play, and I'm just ready to put a big smile on my face just to watch him. He's that great to watch.
Now, Jordan Tate, watching on YouTube, says Simmons is valuable. Anyone remember the Boston series when they got swept last year? Remember, Ben Simmons did not play last year. They got swept, and people aren't really saying, well, they didn't have Ben Simmons. It's almost like it wouldn't have mattered if Simmons played or not. They would have still got swept. I don't know if that's true.
They wouldn't have got swept. I don't think it would have been great basketball. I think they would have struggled only because, remember, I think it was Ben himself who spoke about the bubble. Who spoke about the bubble and the mindset of the bubble?
Simmons.
Yeah, it was Simmons. Okay, some people had it. Some people didn't have it. And if you weren't properly prepared, you weren't going to succeed. I thought with Ben Simmons even playing, I don't know if that team was fully bought in. Remember, Joel was even saying himself, I don't really feel comfortable. He was having the kid at the time. So I just thought mentally that team didn't really have the right pulse on it.
I don't think they liked each other.
That could be it,
that too.
Yeah, for sure.
I just don't think it was a close-knit team. I think it was one of those, like Al Horford was probably over here. His sister didn't help. You had
Josh
Richardson, who was kind of over here.
Tobias was lost mentally a bit.
I like this. I like when people just make up these trades. Let's get P.J. Tucker for a second-round pick and Corky Doodles. Your boy Korkmaz had a nice little run last night.
Yeah, well, the night before he went 2 for 9, had 6 air balls, and missed everything. I mean, he's the worst.
Jalen Williams watching on YouTube. Gordon Hayward or Victor Oladipo is your best bet to get better without giving up Ben Simmons.
I don't know how you get Oladipo. How do you get Oladipo right now without...
He's on a team that needs young players. He's on Houston now.
If I'm a team... and I have Oladipo.
They're not trading with Morey anyway, so get that out of your mind.
Right, but if someone offered me if I had Oladipo and someone said, I'll give you Tyrese Maxey and Shake Milton, I don't think I pulled the trigger.
You're not getting Hayward. He's making way too much coin.
Way too much.
Oladipo, I like him.
Yeah,
He's
but
the kind of player you need,
if you
too.
had him and someone said, Gill, I'll give you Maxey and Milton, would you pull the trigger on that? Because I wouldn't.
If I'm Houston?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting 2 young players.
I don't know.
Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Are we too tough on Ben Simmons? Well, not me, you, and the others. You'll hear what a former NBA scout had to say on Sports Bash Saturday with Josh this past weekend. Coming up.
Turn it on. Leave it on. The Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Dorothy Roofing. It's a heart and a brain thing. Call 1-877-97-KEVIN. Wizard quality comes with DorothyRoofing.com.
Are you tired of car dealer ads that boast about deals that sound too good to be true just to find out they can't live up to the promise? That's why we've been saying for so many years that it's worth it to take the short drive to Woodbine. At Gentilini Ford, we've built a reputation for taking care of our community and treating customers like family for 65 years with the best deals, real value, and no empty promises. I'm Paul Gentilini, and I assure you no other dealer in South Jersey beats our deals. We've been built Ford proud since 1955 as South Jersey's longest-standing Ford dealer for a reason. So check us out to experience the Gentilini difference. Give us a call at 609-861-0100. Visit us online at Gentiliniford.com or stop by today at 555 John S. Penn Boulevard next to the airport in Woodbine, New Jersey. We're just a short drive from anywhere.
Just a short drive from anywhere. Gentle eating family boners.
Hey, I'm Jordan, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A new Grilled Spicy Deluxe is that cilantro lime sauce that goes on it. That's just an extra kick, a flavor explosion.
Hi, I'm Catherine, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is the spiciness of the chicken and the coolness of the cilantro lime sauce. It's the best of both worlds.
Chick-fil-A's Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich, available for a limited time only. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Do you love a good cigar almost as much as your family? Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but you can find that perfect cigar at Smoker's Haven. With 5 New Jersey locations, Smoker's Haven has the finest selection of cigars in the area, like Ashton, My Father's, Romeo and Julieta, Monte Cristo, and more. All from the finest tobacco leaves and hand-rolled by the world's finest cigar makers. All locations are fully open. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. See all they have and their locations at smokershavennj.com.
If you own a small business, you know how hard it can be to find new customers. But maybe you're unaware of new tools that can help your business stand out. Go to getlocalcustomersnow.com for a free market competitive analysis that will show you what other businesses are doing to find new customers and how you can do it too. There's no cost and no obligation. Be one of the first business owners to sign up and receive $500 in free advertising on this station. Get started today. Visit getlocalcustomersnow.com. That's getlocalcustomersnow.com.
Hey guys, are you afraid of taking off your shirt in public? Don't be embarrassed. Just say, I love Lyle back instead with male breast reduction. Many men develop a fullness in their chest as boys that persists and even worsens as they get older. This condition is called gynecomastia, and with simple liposuction, most cases can be effectively treated. Call 856-MAKEOVER today to schedule your private consultation with Dr. Lyle and Back. That's 856-MAKEOVER, or visit ilovelyle.back.com.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
As a minimalist, paying less for insurance is more.
Nice place. Is your house a bubble?
It's a dome. I find corners unnecessary.
At Liberty Mutual, that's how we feel about overpaying for insurance.
But I do miss having shelves.
What would you put on them?
Nothing, obviously.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Interest rates are at an all-time low, making this the perfect time to buy a home or save money by refinancing your mortgage. South Jersey Federal Credit Union offers great rates, local decisions, and now through March 31st, a credit of up to $1,000 towards closing costs on qualifying mortgages. Visit southjerseyfcu.com. Call 1-800-582-7640 or visit a branch for information. Must apply by March 31st, 2021. Subject to qualifications and approval. Owner-occupied residences only. Other restrictions apply. Equal housing lender.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill and Brodes on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And now you can watch the show live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at 97.3ESPN.com.
2:30, we're going to look at the lines with Jeff Nadeau from Barstool Sports coming up at 2:45 today. A lot of college basketball on the card, the NBA, Super Bowl. It's a 3-point line for the Super Bowl. They just basically said it's an even game. 3 points.
And it's funny because Tampa Bay's a home team, so do you think that played a role?
They're not the favorite, though.
I know, which is crazy. So that's why when you look at that 3-point spread, it's like, Although it's got to be weird, right? You win 3 straight road playoff games to have a home Super Bowl game.
Yeah.
But it's going to be, I just wonder, coming out of your locker room, right? Does it feel like you're in the Super Bowl? Is that a positive? Is that a negative? Like you would want it to feel like you're in this different environment. If it feels like every other home game, does it feel like you're in that big time moment or not? I don't know.
Never happened before. We don't know. There's no one you can go ask.
Right. We'll have to ask Tom afterwards. Maybe we can get him on the show.
Did you feel like you were at home or did it feel like you were at the Super Bowl?
Since we're on this topic, when I was driving down here, I thought about something. I wanted to ask your thoughts on it. Let's just say, hypothetically, regardless of what the contract says right now, let's say Tom Brady makes 3 more Super Bowls. Not saying he wins them or loses them. He just gets to 3 more Super Bowls. And Bill Belichick can't win the division the next 3 years. At what point do we look at Bill Belichick and go, I
think that's already people doing that.
Oh, but it's too soon for that. I mean, they really didn't have a quarterback that they can really justify things.
It's almost like Brady already proved that it was him more than Belichick.
I don't know if I'm there yet. Are you there yet to make that assessment?
No. Look, that Tampa team's loaded.
I know. They're really good on both sides of the football.
Yeah, they're loaded. I mean, now, my buddy Anthony Becht, who played for Tampa, he does pre- and post-game stuff for them. I remember when they signed him and he came on and said, this makes them they were a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl team. And what were they the year before? 7-9? That's how important. Like, I remember him talking about his professionalism and how he takes a good player, makes him great. Takes a great player, makes him elite.
But at what point do we look at Bill Belichick and be like, man, he really didn't have much in terms of like any sort of that? Because if Bruce Arians was with Tom
Brady. They never had much anyway. It was always they were winning with a bunch of nobodies.
Right, and that's my point is like we gave Bill Belichick all this credit because of this and that and this and that. And like at what point is like, man, this guy is just literally the greatest ever. And Bill Belichick's legacy is going to be impacted so heavily that we might not even respect him to any sort of level anymore. Like at what point does it get to he literally gets no respect for Super Bowl wins? Can it get to that point if he makes 3 more Super Bowls?
That's a good question. That's a good question. What happens after this and kind of like starts to cement the legacies of both of these guys? Because they both had this legacy together, but the legacy without each other will be re-cemented.
And let's look at Bruce Arians, for example. If he wins the Super Bowl, how much credit is he getting? He's pretty much public at this point saying, I just let Tom Brady do whatever he wants. He wants to run the offense, fine. Let him run the offense the way that he wants to operate it. So if they go win a championship, how do we view Bruce Arians? Is he just a guy who's took a step back and said, hey, Tom, go have fun out there? Right? I mean, that's pretty much what he's doing, and he admitted it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'm not a Brady hater by any stretch of the imagination. By the way, he threw 3 picks the other day.
Yes, he did.
It wasn't like, hey, they won because Brady was brilliant.
Consecutive drives in the fourth quarter.
Right? That team's pretty good. Let's keep that in mind. Brady is just, I think he brings a level of professionalism to that organization and to whatever team he's on that you can't quantify.
You know how people go back and look at their old tweets and they kind of retweet it when things happen? I saw a Tampa Bay fan, it went viral, who tweeted the day they signed Tom Brady. I can't believe it. This is a joke. We're never going to win a Super Bowl. Like this whole thread, a 10-thread tweet. And now everyone's giving the guy fire for it, of course, because it's like, dude, you're going to the Super Bowl. Shame on you.
Boy, Sports Bash Live. Re223 is watching on YouTube and says, we won't win the finals unless we trade Ben Simmons. So there is a lot of people who have that same sentiment. So I want to play a bite or a couple of bites here. This is Brian Ohringer. He is a former scout with the Washington Wizards, okay? And he essentially the other night, so I was on Twitter and I had talked about Simmons and somebody was saying, we got back and forth about the importance of Simmons. Actually, the article that I wrote about how it's time to alter your thoughts on Simmons. And people just are done on Simmons. They're so done with them. And Ohringer saw it and DM'd me. Now, little did I know that he was going on Josh's show on Saturday, and Josh had him on, and they talked about Simmons. He then DM'd me afterwards and sent me an article that he had written that basically said, people who think Simmons is a problem are a bunch of know-nothings, is essentially what he essentially has said. So this is what Brian Ohringer, former NBA scout with the Wizards, had to say to some of those people who are not fans of Ben Simmons.
He's a super smart basketball player who knows how to contribute to winning. And yeah, I think he's doing a great job of that, obviously, this season. And it's just a shame that one thing that he can't do, obviously, just takes up so much headspace for people that they're unable to appreciate the other 99 things he does really, really well.
Well, I mean, look.
That's one thing.
Right. Look, we just talked about 2, though, just to play the other side. And this isn't to take away credit for what he has done in his career, but there were a lot of people, and some that you respected, as you said, who looked at Josh Jackson as this stud that can be this game-changing guy, and it ended up not being that way. So, just because some feel highly on Ben, which I do, I see 99% of what he does. I just think the one thing he doesn't do is going to be what holds this team back, sadly. But, there's a lot of people that see Ben as that top dog, and I see why, but that downfall is very crucial, and it deserves the headlines that it gets. I really do think that.
I mean, I can understand. I see what you're saying, but I think 4 years in, it doesn't deserve the headlines anymore. It's almost like we you should know that this is what it is.
But we feel that this is what's holding this team back from a championship is the lack of shooting, the lack of spacing, really just the lack of what it affects the entire team, what he doesn't. It's not so much him shooting, him knocking down threes from 40%. It's just how it interferes with how teams defend the Sixers, really, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, there's no question. Look, would it behoove him to be give them more offensively? There's no question. But again, we have it in our mindset that we want him to do these things that he's simply not going to do. So we're criticizing him for these things that he doesn't do instead of saying, well, they win because he does this, and this.
Okay, that's fair. But here's where it ticks me off the most. What we saw against the Pistons and the Celtics late, where he was attacking Marcus Smart, attacking the rim, going hard to the rim. That has nothing to do with the shooting whatsoever. Nothing to do with hanging out by the three-point line. We know he can do that. And we should expect him to do that because we know he can, and he does it in flashes. So let's just look at it from attacking the rim, downhill, getting to the free throw line standpoint. Why isn't that more consistent?
I asked that question a lot, and I've kind of just said there's a lot of players that do that. There's some guys that you see, why does so-and-so come out one night and score 28 points, and then the next night he goes back to who he is? What made you on that night? Did you get up and eat your Cheerios? Did you have Wheaties? What was different about your routine on the day that you came out and scored 28 when you normally only score 11?
And that's where we need to get Ben Simmons to be more consistent in that area. But does that happen because of, I don't know, the way teams defend the Sixers and with guys out there spacing on the perimeter?
We go back to what we were told, all right? This is like the whole way of the world that we live in. People spew these messages at you because they want you to believe stuff, and they tell you things, and they tell you things, and they tell you things. They might not be true, but if they say it over and over and over and over and over and over again, you start sort of a conspiracy theory, and you have a bunch of wackos actually believing it sometimes. Well, that's the Ben Simmons story. We were told over and over and over and over again during the draft process that he was different, that he was special. But what you ignored is the actual facts. The facts sometimes do get in the way of a good story. We were told that this guy was going to be different. But what you were never told was, by the way, this guy's going to start bombing away from the outside. No, it was clear that he's going to be different, but he's not going to shoot. This isn't a surprise. The problem is people are surprised by this, and they're holding it against him. But we were told that this is what he was going to be. We just want more.
Well, no, I disagree, because in professional sports, growing and developing your game is part of it. So 4 years ago, to expect Ben Simmons Jeremy Grant is almost a perfect example. This guy stunk. I mean, he was garbage. And what did he do over 4 years? He really grew into something. Why can't we demand that out of Ben as a professional athlete? This is your job. Grow, advance. You can use the same for me as an example. Here I am in the business. 5, 6, 7, 8 years from now, I expect to be a different version of myself because I grow. Anything. You're working finance. You grow. That's part of work. Ben Simmons, we should demand him to grow in that area.
He might say, I have grown. I'm a much better defensive player. I'm a much better passer. I'm a much better rebounder.
You can't ignore the big flaw here, though. If you're Ben.
I'm not. I'm saying.
If you're Ben, I'm saying.
I'm saying what we were told that he was, what he was, he kind of is. He's a guy who is very talented, offers a ton of skill set, doesn't shoot a whole heck of a lot. He's not much different than that. I mean, I'm looking, this was his strengths from NBA draft.net. An extremely unique talent combining power forward size and strength with point guard vision and passing skills. Has the size, physical gifts, and skill to defend and play all 5 positions at the next level. Ideal for the emphasis of positionless basketball. Highly unselfish, team-oriented player. Weakness. Despite being a good scorer, he lacks a reliable jump shot. His form doesn't have any glaring mechanical flaws, but it's apparent that it is one element of his game that he is not completely confident in. He has scoring droughts in games related to both confidence in his shot and unselfishness. I think they pretty much nailed it.
Well, yeah, but at what point are we you're not supposed to be who you are when you first enter the league as you are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years in. Joel Embiid is nowhere close to where he was 4 years ago.
No, but his skill set of what he does do is better. It's just that he hasn't added things.
Well, that's because he didn't have one glaring big-time hole as noticeable as Ben Simmons. But to act as if he couldn't have gotten better in that area, I don't know if I can support that.
All right, there's no place like your home, and if you have a leak or need a new roof, call Dorothy Gale Roofing, 877-97-KEVIN, or visit them online at DorothyGale.com. The big man on campus next.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Ed Harris knocks it down with a right-hand jam. Timeout Los Angeles, and he is fired up.
The Sixers host LeBron and the Lakers.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
Models excludes Corvette with GMF financing, excludes fire sale. See dealer for details.
Start the new year in a new Chevy at Bennett Chevy. Come see all the hot new 2021s and get our famous unbeatable Bennett deal. GM supplier employee pricing, plus you keep all the rebates. And right now that could be up to 25% off MSRP. Yes, up to 25% off. Shop all you want, but there's just no beating Bennett. Looking for pre-owned? Bennett will pay you a minimum $7,000 for your trade towards any pre-owned in stock. That's at least $7,000, regardless of how or even if your old car runs. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And you will absolutely love dealing with Bennett. There's no games, no gimmicks, just real deals and no need to negotiate, because our non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads and start the new year in a new Chevy at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Weightlifters and fitness enthusiasts, you got to check out weightliftinghq.com. They are a local company right here in South Jersey that operates fully online and caters to weightlifters and fitness enthusiasts interested in working out from home. They offer high-end weightlifting and fitness equipment available to be delivered right to your home. Check them out online at weightliftinghq.com and use the code RADIO10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order. That's code RADIO10 at weightliftinghq.com.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
I love my Charmin Super Mega Golden Rolls, yeah. Goals last long, it's TP Goals, yeah. Charmin's got 6 rolls in one, lasts forever on my buns. Only super mega when I'm cleaning. Charmin's got my booty believing.
Charmin Super Mega Roll is 6 regular rolls in one. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Pigskin fans, the moment you have been waiting for all season is right around the corner, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of Super Bowl 55, is bringing back their golden ticket giveaway with up to $55 million in prizes up for grabs. All you have to do to get your share of these huge prizes is enter DraftKings' free Super Bowl prediction challenge. Once you submit your picks, you will get a free instant prize up to $25,000. And if you have the most predictions correct, you could win the top prize of $1 million. Download the app now, enter the free prediction challenge, answer questions like who will score last, and boom, get ready to make it rain. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code 973 to enter the free $55 million Super Bowl prediction challenge. That's code 973. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of Super Bowl 55. Terms, conditions, and eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You have the choice, whether it's going out for dinner or ordering takeout at a local restaurant or buying that new outfit from a local boutique. Those choices help to put money back into your community. And Town Square Media South Jersey puts a spotlight on local businesses.
Ambient Comfort Heating and Cooling Professionals. AmbientComfortNJ.com.
Filling Marble and Tile Outlet, Philadelphia Avenue and Route 30 in Egg Harbor City. FillingMarble.com.
Dennisville Fence, serving you since 1952. Be the envy of your neighborhood.
East Coast Roofing, Siding, and Windows services all of South Jersey. If you call, they'll show up. Call East Coast today at 609-646-1444. Online at eastcoastroofing.com.
Comfort Now by Bob McAllister. Improve the comfort in your home. Call 609-400-1005 and ask about discounts and rebate incentives. Visit iwantcomfortnow.com.
Thank you for supporting your local businesses. From Town Square Media, South Jersey.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, 246 on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN, at Mike Gill Show, at Brodes81. And joining us now on the live stream, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, Jeff Nadeau. He's the host of Big Man on Basketball, the podcast. It drops tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. And Jeff Nadeau, Big Man on Campus, joins us now right here on the Sports Bash Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Jeff, it's good to see you, man. Welcome back. And, of course, man, we've got a Super Bowl set, and we're all ready to go. It's our last week of football. So that's actually, it's not the last week of football because I guess we got the Super Bowl. But should we be sad? Looks like you muted yourself.
I think I'm here, guys.
There you go. You muted yourself. There you go.
I thought I was muted when I came in by you guys.
You were.
I didn't say anything. But no, it is a sad day, Mike. I will say this, though. I think we should be excited that we actually got here. We don't really remember some of the cancellations. We mostly got through the season. There wasn't a mass shutdown by the league, which was great. It sucked not having fans. Obviously, I think that's something we'll all look forward to. But as I'll keep saying, Mike, better days are ahead. We got through the season, and knock on wood, we don't have anyone out for a Super Bowl from a virus. That would suck if you happen to get it this week if you're a player. But, yeah, I'm excited, looking forward to the game.
So let's start with that because it's real early. So get your thoughts. It's opened at 3.5. It's dropped to 3 at most places now. So do you anticipate that line is going to do a lot of moving, or is this pretty much where you see it being locked in all the way up to kickoff?
Yeah, I do a couple other radio spots. That's been the first question that a lot of people have asked me. It's so tough to move a Super Bowl line, obviously, with so much action coming in. It would be surprising if they move off 3. I think there's just a lot of things that can go on a 2.5. It's just I don't think they'll move off. 3 is a good number. It's a fair number. I think it's probably going to stay there as far as I would be concerned. And I think, you can make cases for both sides, but I think there'll be a lot of public bettors on both sides. That's how the Super Bowl goes. I don't think, taking a side's the wrong answer. It's a very tough game. I'm just looking at it and saying, I don't want to bet against Patrick Mahomes. For years, I didn't want to bet against Tom Brady. I'm not as worried now about betting against.
You didn't want to get bet against Rodgers either.
True. And that's true. My favorite play of the weekend was the Chiefs. I just thought that was a good spot. I mean, once I got up to game time, I really felt like it was a real good spot. I was questionable just with Mahomes' status, but once he got the status that he was in there and going to play, it was concerning, I thought, for Buffalo. But it's a tough game. You got so much. And there's some things to keep in mind. I mean, the Chiefs just lost Eric Fisher, their offensive tackle. Mitchell Schwartz has been in and out of the rotation. Will Sammy Watkins be back? I'm not so worried about Watkins just because they have so many options. But defensively, they've been flying around. Spagnuolo's done a terrific job there. And you just look at really how you draft correctly. And, I hate to always keep going back to this, but this is – you look at their defense, for instance, a guy like L'Jarius Sneed, that was just high-level scouting by the Kansas City Chiefs to pluck him out of Louisiana Tech. He's turned into a hell of a player for them. They make all the right moves from a personnel standpoint, while the team we have doesn't, and that just kind of goes to show you about the GM and the crew inside. But yeah, I would be on the Chiefs here. I don't really see any reason I'd want to back the Bucs.
57 over under. So looks like a lot of points in that one. Of course, we'll talk more deeper into this game when Jeff joins us for the Saturday session at 9 o'clock Saturday morning. Small NBA card tonight, just 3 games, but you've been red hot in the NBA. Another winner last night, Denver. Thank you very much. I put a little late night wager from the big man. Follow him at Jeff Nadeau on Twitter and listen to Big Man on Basketball. Just 3 games on the card tonight. Anything stand out for you?
The only one that really kind of stood out was maybe a total with the Wizards-Rockets. I kind of missed the line on this one, so I'm going to probably avoid. Clippers-Hawks, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, I think, are both out. I will say this. A lot of people have just assumed, it's the Hawks. They're going to score a lot of points. They don't stop anybody. Here's something to keep in mind. This team is about 10 points better defensively than they were last year. Adding a guy like Clint Capella helps considerably. He kind of walls the paint off, if you will. And offensively, they're good. They're not great. A lot of people just assumed they were a good offensive team last year. They actually weren't. They were one of the worst shooting teams in the league. They really went out and grabbed guys that helped them on the offensive level. So, you look at the Clippers, really haven't impressed me so much. They've been poor defensively at times. So that one's tough. And then Knicks Jazz, I leaned under, but I'm not playing any of these games.
All right. And, of course, last night, good card in college. You guys did a great pod. If you missed the Monday Big Man on Basketball, they went through all 16 games that were on the card and some nice winners on there as well for the people who listened. But tonight, this seems more like your type of card, though. I'm imagining there's something – one or two that really jump out on this Tuesday card that you like.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Mike. There wasn't a lot I loved on this card, frankly. I think there's there's a lot of teams coming off coronavirus breaks, one of which is Drake. Drake is the best team in America against the spread. They have covered every game this year, 11-0, I think. I think 2 were out of conference game or out of Division I games, but this is a tough game for Drake. It's a road game. They're coming off a shutdown, and they're playing a team in Missouri State that I wouldn't just gloss over. This is a good basketball team. They're well coached under a guy, Dana Ford, did a really good job at Tennessee State. It's come to Missouri State. And Mike, this is one of the better teams in the country against the spread as well. I think they're 8-1 against the number. They've got a really good offense. In fact, they're the second best 2-point offense in America. They have a kid down low, Gage Prim. He's a terrific player. I think this is a really tough spot for Drake coming off of a shutdown. The public bettors love Drake right now. I'll gladly take 3.5 points with a home team that I think can surely win outright. They demolished Drake last year. If you're going to fade Drake, and I don't advise stepping in front of teams that are very good against the number, but Missouri State is pretty damn good against the number as well. And a good basketball team facing a team off a layoff. I'll take Missouri State. I also have to be honest, Mike, I like Richmond. I do a lot of the handicapping I do is based off of press conferences after the game. Richmond does a great job at getting them up on their YouTube page. Chris Mooney, their coach, and one of their best players talked about just how poor they were defensively on Saturday against LaSalle. LaSalle should not be beating them and putting up 84 points. Richmond has no trouble scoring, Mike, and they're not going to have any trouble scoring tonight. St. Joe's is one of the worst defensive teams in America.
Horrible.
This Joe's team, you have to wonder if they've quit. And I'll be honest, Mike, one of my colleagues in the business, Donnie Wrights, had mentioned about why the hell did they ever fire Phil Martelli? I mean, one of the worst firings in recent memory in college basketball. Ought to go 1-12 with Billy Lang. St. Joe's right now, I think it's just quit. I think Richmond's defense is much better tonight off a loss. Mike, when you have a team that's 5th most experienced in the nation, generally they take umbrage with bad performances and come out in the next one and really take care of business. It's 12.5, but I'm confident that Richmond, quick turnaround. They've had some practice off their shutdown. I think they get some legs and blow out St. Joe's.
All right, Big Man on Campus, Jeff Nadeau. The podcast drops tomorrow. By the way, breaking news, the Phillies have signed JT Realmuto, 5 years, $110 million. We'll talk coming up on the other side with Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad on the deal. Jeff is back on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. He likes Richmond tonight in that Missouri State Drake game as well. So jump in on that. Follow him at Jeff Nadeau. See if he adds anything to the card. Jeff, we'll talk to you Saturday morning, man.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Talk to you later in the week.
Nadeau. Barstool Sports at Jeff Nadeau. Big Man on Basketball podcast drops tomorrow. And now he's probably going to do a video on JT Realmuto signing. So go watch what he has to say over at Jeff Nadeau on Twitter. Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad next.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tonight on 97.3 ESPN.
Thank you, guys.
And the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
What a save by Carter Hart.
The Flyers are in Jersey to face the Devils. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN. And listen live on the free mobile app.
There are a lot of car dealer ads that boast about deals that sound too good to be true. You know those ads, the ones that promise higher trade values and discounts with a disclaimer. The truth is you can get a good deal anywhere, but isn't it about time you deal with a dealer that gives you a no-nonsense deal at the best price? At Gentilini Motors, we've built a reputation for taking care of our community and treating customers like family for 65 years, because treating the customer right always ensures the best deal. I'm Paul Gentilini, and I assure you, no other dealer in South Jersey beats our deals. Give us a call at 609-861-9000. Visit us online at GentiliniChevrolet.com or stop by today to find new roads in a Chevy and experience the Gentilini difference for yourself at 500 John S. Penn Boulevard, next to the airport in Woodbine, New Jersey. We're just a short drive from anywhere.
Just a short drive from anywhere. Gentilini Family Motors.
A message from your neighbors and friends at First Bank. We've been serving residents and businesses of Sea Isle City and the surrounding communities for more than 130 years. Today's challenges, while unique, are another opportunity to show our strength and resilience. Our commitment to you remains strong. Whether it's using our drive-through services, bank by phone, the First Bank mobile app, or online banking, we're staying strong with you. Be safe and be secure. First Bank, here for you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The success of Janet's meal prep business is keeping her from keeping up with customer appetites.
Paleo Prep Meals, this is Janet. Yep, you just reheat. But we actually have a wait list currently. Oh, can you hold on one sec?
She needs to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
If you're struggling with a drug or alcohol addiction, now is the time to take action and get professional help. Call Recovery Centers of America at 1-888-RECOVERY today. You are worthy of recovery from your addiction, and calling RCA will be your first step in getting the help you need. Recovery Centers of America answers the phone and admits patients 24/7. And because safety is a top priority, all patients and staff are routinely tested for COVID-19. RCA's expert team of physicians and medical professionals will treat you with compassion and dignity and provide an evidence-based treatment plan that is custom-tailored to your specific needs. Recovery Centers of America at Devon and Lighthouse are local and in-network with insurance providers, so they're best-in-class inpatient and outpatient care, offered both in-person and via teletherapy, is affordable and accessible. Make this the year you conquer your addiction. Call today, 1-888-RECOVERY. That's 1-888-RECOVERY.
You're ready to get back into yoga, so you order the essentials. A non-slip mat, yoga blocks to keep balance, and an exercise ball. And you use your Bank of America Cash Rewards credit card, choosing to earn 3% cash back on online shopping and up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member, which you put towards your most essential yoga gear. Noise-canceling headphones.
Welcome. Take a deep breath. Breathe.
Apply for yours at bankofamerica.com/more rewarding. Copyright 2020 Bank of America Corporation.
Do you crave the thrill of success and all the opportunities that come with it? Are you an ambitious professional who seeks an exciting career opportunity with unlimited earning potential? Are your achievements most rewarding when they also benefit others?
If so, then you may have what it takes to join South Jersey's leading radio and online marketing sales team at Town Square Media. Discover your passion for advertising sales and earn a guaranteed salary while you learn. Leverage newfound skills in integrated marketing campaign design and help local businesses recover and grow in the coming year.
With commission gains and hands-on training, your income grows right alongside your skill set, so you'll never be making less than what you're worth.
To schedule an interview, go to townsquaremedia.com and tap on careers. Kick off a challenging but fulfilling career in advertising sales with Town Square Media Atlantic City. That's townsquaremedia.com and tap on careers. Take success into your own hands today. Town Square Media is an equal opportunity employer.
The radio home for Philadelphia Flyers hockey.
Big save by Carter Hart.
WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City, 97.3 ESPN. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
All right, 3 o'clock here. Breaking news. The Phillies have reached a 5-year, $115 million deal with catcher JT Realmuto. So that is now official. It looks like Craig Mish of Sports Grid is reporting it. Others have kind of indicated today that it seemed like the deal was getting close. John Heyman of the MLB Network kind of indicated that it was getting close. And now Craig Mish confirms the Phillies and Realmuto, 5 years, $115 million. And right now joining us on the phone to take a little look at this, how it's all going to work out and what it means moving forward. Bob Wankel, Crossing Broad, covers the Phillies, and he joins us now on the Boardwalk Honda hotline. Is, of course, the Phillies. Bob, it was, we were skeptical of whether they were going to get this done when the offseason got here, but I guess you got to give them some credit for waiting this thing out. They allowed them, the teams to kind of. He didn't get what he was looking for. That's obvious when he got out on the market, and the Phillies prosper here. 5 years, $115. It looks like we lost Bob for a second there. We'll try to get him back on the line and have him give us his thoughts on this. And, of course, we all were worried at the beginning of this thing that he wasn't going to sign. The Phillies basically said, hey, and then he wanted so much money that it didn't seem feasible. I don't know. Is this 5-year, $115? Do you feel comfortable with it?
I do. I think that it's a good length of time, like considering his age right now, 30 to 35. Of course, the AAV is something that he was looking forward to, but I think they waited out the market. It benefited them. It benefits JT Realmuto. I think it works for both parties.
Yeah, let's get Bob in here and get his thoughts. 5 years, $115, and we weren't sure that this was going to get done, but the last couple of days, it seemed like it was going down this road. I know there was maybe some agent talk with the Braves getting involved, but when you look at it, good deal for both sides, you think?
Yeah, it's a good deal for both sides. I mean, JT Realmuto gets what he wants, and the Phillies saved a few dollars in the process. You go back to what he was looking for and what we heard he was looking for back in August and July. We're hearing $160, $170 million deal over 5-6 years. And, quite frankly, that's a deal that would have given me some pause. I know that we were all in the middle of the hysteria of signing JT at all costs, but it does reach a point where it doesn't really make sense. At $115 million over 5 years, I think that still makes a lot of sense for the Phillies. And so not only do they save a few bucks in the process, but I think beyond what it means for 2021 in terms of being competitive and trying to make the playoffs, I think that there are some factors that are even more important, and namely keeping the big-time talent, specifically Bryce Harper, happy. And, I mean, all you have to do is look across the street at what's going on with the Eagles right now and Carson Wentz. And when you have highly paid players that are unhappy with an organization, it can cause chaos. And if they would have let JT Realmuto walk, I don't know what that would have meant for Bryce Harper and the relationship with this team, this organization moving forward. So I think from a unity standpoint, keeping people happy within the organization, this was a really important deal for the Phillies to make.
Record AAV for a catcher. What's the message now? I mean, is this it? Like, hey, we went a little bit more than because they still need a shortstop. They want pitching, or they need pitching. They need bullpen. They need starters. So does this kind of change our mind on where the rest of this, these next couple of weeks leading into spring training could take us?
It's really hard to say. I mean, the problem is you step back and you just evaluate this division, and the competition is just so good. I mean, the Realmuto signing doesn't change the reality that the Mets are still outstanding on paper, that the Braves are certainly outstanding on paper. And, not to be a Debbie Downer here, but, this is still a key cog of a team that was basically 500, over the last two seasons. So it keeps the Phillies relevant. It gives them a chance. And I like some of the other moves that they've made, but does it really push them into a division contender at this point? I think that's a stretch. However, I've said this a couple times. I know I've said it on this show with the both of you. I don't think that the Phillies internally are punting on 2021, but I don't think that they're all in for 2021. But what this move does do is I think it keeps them relevant. It gives them a chance. And I think that 2022, 2023 is when you're going to see this team really try to push again And keeping Real Muto in the fold is going to keep them closer to getting to where they want to go. It was a deal that they had to make. And not just for keeping people within the clubhouse happy, but just keeping this fan base happy. It's a huge ask to say, hey, we haven't made the playoffs. Heck, we haven't even been over 509 seasons. Now we're going to let one of our best players walk. It's just an impossible sell to the fan base. So in terms of brand, keeping up brand recognition, keeping people happy, it was a deal they had to do. And not that I want to credit Matt Klentak. It would be the first time that I ever did that. But I do think you have to tip your cap to him a little bit and say, or the organization at large, and say, hey, listen, at least they didn't go in, they didn't spend $30-35 million a year when they didn't need to. So in this case, Phillies hesitates to go all in on Real Muto. It probably did save them a few $1 million a season over the next 5 years.
The years on the contract was always going to be a concern for me. So when you see that he signed to about 35 years old with that type of money tied to him, how do you kind of view that? And I guess you can also throw in the fact that the DH news kind of is surfacing where, if you thought, hey, maybe down the road he can play DH, I don't know if that's going to be, a reality.
Yeah, as far as the DH goes, we just don't know yet. I mean, it seems like it's trending towards not happening this season, which I'm surprised by, but baseball, the owners and the Players Association, they're going to get back together and have to hammer out a new CBA. And I would be stunned, a year or two out from now if we don't have a universal DH, which would certainly help the Phillies in this case. Keeping Real Muto's bat in the lineup and not having him have to catch 130 games to do it. 35-year-old catchers aren't going to be as productive as when they're 30, 31 years old. There's a little bit of risk in this, but he's a guy that keeps himself in immaculate shape. He's a terrific athlete. I would imagine that he will age in this deal a little bit better than maybe some of his contemporaries would. I think that's fair to say. But at the end of the day, you have this guy. There's a lot of pressure to sign him. And sure, would the Phillies love to have done a 3-year deal with JT Real Muto? I'm sure they would have. But this is kind of the price you have to pay when you're dealing with elite talent.
Bob Wankel, Crossing Broad, covers the Phillies. So you mentioned it. They almost had to do this move. I mean, you had the newest, Archie Bradley comes in. He's not here for 5 minutes, and he's lobbying to bring this guy in. But where does this put the Phillies? I mean, if you're saying, yes, we got JT, and you're spending a lot of money on a guy, does this make you a playoff contender, or is this still a middle-of-the-pack, below-average team?
Yeah, isn't that the weird thing? Usually when you do a deal like this and everybody's so excited, your immediate thought is they're a playoff team, at the very least, and possibly a championship team. This deal's a little bit weird in that way because you get this guy that you really wanted to keep and everyone's excited. And then you kind of take a deep breath and say, so now what? And, if you evaluate this team and where it's at right now in relation to the rest of the division, I think it's a third place team. I actually do believe that they're better than the Nationals. And I think they're going to be better than the Marlins. I know the Marlins were a postseason team a year ago. I think that was a big product of a shortened season, and they just kind of did enough to get in. I would say that the Phillies are ahead of those two teams. It's a stretch, though, to say that they've caught the Mets or that they've caught the Braves in doing this. They still would have some work to do there. I think that they would need another starting pitcher in the back end of the rotation to knock Vince Velasquez out. There's certainly at least one more bat in the lineup away, whether that be an outfielder or certainly a shortstop. They could still use some help there. I know people are kicking around in Dalton Simmons and maybe they bring back Didi Gregorius, but even still, I don't think that they're better than those two teams. What it does for me is I think it keeps them in position where they can play competitive and meaningful baseball going into the second half of the season. I think that the team and the organization can kind of evaluate what the books look like at that point. Are fans in the stands? Can they add to their payroll beyond where they're currently at? And maybe if they're within striking distance, they make a deadline deal. They improve the team in the summertime, and then they make a run at it. I think that at least what this does is it gives you a chance, and so I'm not running to your local legal sports book app to hammer the Phillies to win the NL East or anything like that, but I do think it gives a chance to be a playoff team and potentially do the things they need to do in order to get there in the second half of the season.
You mentioned the shortstop position. I just want to get your opinion. Would you rather have Simmons or Didi? Didi gives you a little bit more power, but Simmons is a great hitter for average, and he gives you the solid glove as well.
Yeah, I have big concerns about the Phillies defense. I think it's one thing, and I don't know if we talked about this last time I was on, but I do have concerns about where the Phillies are at defensively, especially in the infield. It's a below-average defensive infield, and Simmons would certainly help upgrade that. I get the value and I get the validity in going after either guy. At the end of the day, I'm always an offensive first kind of guy. So I would prefer to see Gregorius. I was super impressed with him last year. That being said, though, if you can save a few bucks and you're willing to reinvest those savings somewhere else on your team, whether it's another bullpen piece or maybe adding another starter, and Simmons comes a little bit cheaper, then I understand that and then would probably support it. But if you're simply doing it to save money and not reinvest the money, then I would be so enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are, we got people commenting up on the screen here. This move allows the Phillies to compete in the division and all that kind of stuff. I agree with you. They still need more. And even if they bring back DD or bring in Simmons, that's not enough. I mean, they probably need another starter minimally and maybe two more bullpen arms, right? I mean, this team's pretty far off for the rest of the teams in this division. But I guess the question would be, do we feel comfortable that Dombrowski has maybe pushed them a little bit to say, look, this team is closer than you're giving them credit for?
Yeah, I mean, they hire him and maybe they do some internal evaluation of where their seasons have gone the last 2 years and why they faded down the stretch. And maybe Dave Dombrowski is an outside, well-respected voice, certainly somebody that they believe in, says, hey, listen,
right.
There's reason to believe that you guys are better than you've played the last 2 years. And maybe he's instilled some type of optimism within the organization to make John Middleton a little bit more proactive, perhaps over the next month, before we really rev up into the spring training calendar. That's a possibility. I don't expect anything substantial. I do think they'll add a shortstop here, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't do anything meaningful in terms of another back end of the bullpen piece or a number 3-4 type starter. Maybe that guy's out there. Maybe they snag a guy on a 1-year deal at some value that can really help them. More of a creative type of deal. But, I don't think that they have this other headline-making deal in them. And to be honest with you, I think that that's what it would take in order to make them a legitimate division contender, certainly. In the NL, could they be a wild card team? Sure. I'm not trying to rain on any parade here. I think it's entirely possible that the Phillies find themselves at 87, 88 wins and get into the playoffs this season. But as it stands right now, I mean, I think that that's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, Look, I think it's a good deal. 5 years for the catcher. I didn't want to see 6. I think they got him at a good dollar value. They didn't go crazy like it was reported early. It's a good move for the Phils. They're still a ways off, this team, and I'm interested. We're about, less than a month away from pitchers and catchers, if that even gets off the ground. I guess that needs to be answered as well. But that's the deal. It's 5 years, $115 million. It's a record for average catcher for the catcher position. Bob Wankel, Crossing Broad, joined us here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Hey, Bob, thanks for jumping on short notice, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. He'll be, of course, on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline, and we will have Bob on throughout the baseball season. I know Frank Close is working on a piece for 97.3 ESPN.com right now. That's why we didn't catch up with him on that story as well, but you can get more details on this piece at 97.3 ESPN.com. What do you know?
I'm super excited. I am.
These are the kind of days you didn't come in thinking, and then I saw the story from Heyman today, and I'm thinking, okay.
I just think this keeps it more interesting for the season, even though I don't think they're going to go win a championship. It keeps me more engaged in the Phillies this summer, knowing that they have a better roster. I think a shortstop's coming soon. I really do. I do know this, though. Over at DraftKings Sportsbook, you have the opportunity to join their free Super Bowl prediction challenge. Once you submit your picks, you will get a free instant prize up to $25,000. And if you have the most predictions correct, you can win the top prize of $1 million. So download the DraftKings app right now and use promo code 973 to enter the free $55 million Super Bowl prediction challenge. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey. Only gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, when we come back, what happened with the Sixers last night? What message do we get from it? We will talk to national NBA writer, covers the Sixers for CBS Sports, formerly of 97.3 ESPN.com. Our buddy Michael Kasky-Blomain is our Inside the Sixers guest today on 97.3 ESPN. And don't forget, watch the show live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Get the show live at 97.3 ESPN.com.
There's never an off season for the NFL. It's football at 4, every day at 4 p.m. on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
On some models, excludes Corvette with GMF financing, excludes prior sale. See dealer for details.
Start the new year in a new Chevy at Bennett Chevy. Come see all the hot new 2021s and get our famous unbeatable Bennett deal. GM supplier employee pricing, plus you keep all the rebates. And right now, that could be up to 25% off MSRP. Yes, up to 25% off. Shop all you want, but there's just no beating Bennett. Looking for pre-owned? Bennett will pay you a minimum $7,000 for your trade towards any pre-owned in stock. That's at least $7,000, regardless of how or even if your old car runs. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And you will absolutely love dealing with Bennett. There's no games, no gimmicks, just real deals and no need to negotiate, because our non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads and start the new year in a new Chevy at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Right away, if she's going to manage to hit her deadline.
It took an extra week to get approvals, but they still want the original delivery date. I guess we'll figure something out.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Interest rates are at an all-time low, making this the perfect time to buy a home or save money by refinancing your mortgage. South Jersey Federal Credit Union offers great rates, local decisions, and now through March 31st, a credit of up to $1,000 towards closing costs on qualifying mortgages. Visit SouthJerseyFCU.com. Call 1-800-582-7640 or visit a branch for information. Must apply by March 31st, 2021. Subject to qualifications and approval. Owner-occupied residences only. Other restrictions apply. Equal housing lender.
The COVID-19 vaccine distribution has started, which is why I'm hopeful that a stronger, healthier future is in sight. But we're not there yet. We have to stop the virus from spreading. Take it from me, Dr. Kemi Ali from Henry J. Austin Health Center. Even though it's 2021, my fellow doctors, nurses, EMTs, and all healthcare workers around New Jersey are still fighting this virus on the front lines day and night. And we need you to keep fighting with us. Even though some people have been vaccinated, we all need to keep wearing face masks. Stay safe by staying socially distanced, and go get tested even if you don't have symptoms. Because we all have a role to play in stopping the spread of this virus. So let's do it for each other, New Jersey. Let's do it for us all. Please visit covid19.nj.gov for more information.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all know the sound. It happens. Your phone. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless's new Platinum Unlimited plan includes phone protection that covers those kinds of mishaps. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus more features, like 20 gigs of hotspot and 100 gigs of cloud storage, all on the best networks. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise.
See mobile protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
Beachcombing, baking cookies, learning French. Aren't these what you'd rather be doing than thinking about your Medicare prescriptions? Well, Walgreens is here to help you get back to it with convenient refill and pickup options, expert pharmacists to answer all your questions, and Medicare copays as low as $0. Zero. Which is also the number of cares in the world you'll have as you stroll the beach, eating cookies and speaking French. Oh la la. Walgreens.
$0 copays apply to Tier 1 generic drugs and select plans where Walgreens is a preferred pharmacy.
The station giving you Philadelphia Flyers hockey.
Here's a shot, rebound. Oh, a great save by Carter Hart. He absolutely robbed Toby Reed around the rebound.
97.3 ESPN FM, the play-by-play home of Flyers hockey.
We got Flyers hockey tonight on 97.3 ESPN. It's the Flyers and the Devils. Devils been a surprise.
Yeah, nice little team they got right now. Flyers, not so much.
Not so much. How much does losing Couturier, though, hurt them?
I think it's that. I think the D-core is just bad and beat up as well.
Gossesbear's supposed to be back tonight.
Yeah,
You think that helps?
We got defensive problems, and we're supposed to be excited about Gossesbear being in the lineup.
I think they're going to pair him up with Provorov.
Yeah,
Should be able to score from the blue line left and right.
I think to give him a little bit of confidence, maybe that's the road they go down. But I'm defeated right now with this squad.
All right. Inside the Sixers, our Inside the Sixers guest today is from CBS Sports. He covers the Sixers, covers the NBA. You know him from 97.3 ESPN.com, formerly, I should say. He's Michael Kasky-Blomain, and he joins us now on the Boardwalk Honda hotline as the Sixers, an ugly one last night, MKB.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't the prettiest one so far. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, man. So do we take anything from a loss when you don't have Joel Embiid, or is there something to be said for you lost to Detroit, a horrible team, without Joel Embiid? What does that say for the rest of what you got?
Yeah, I don't think it's a great sign, Mike. I mean, I don't think it's a situation where you want to be overly concerned. But personally, I'm a little bit more concerned than at least Doc seems to be. He basically, kind of brushed it off last night. He said it's not on his list of concerns, quote unquote, in terms of the fact that they've been, unable to win a game without Joel so far. And obviously, ultimately, when the postseason comes around, you're going to hope to have Joel, every game. But the thing is, this is a roster that's built that should be able to get these wins against teams like the Grizzlies or, the Heat when they're missing half of their starting lineup, or the Pistons last night without Joel in there. And I think there is a level of concern that they're, have not been able to have success without him so far, for sure.
Yeah, and obviously he's playing at such a high level. Many people think MVP level, but I guess the question would be is when you see you lose, you don't have Embiid, do you start to think if you're Daryl Morey, we've got to get another piece? Like, this guy's playing at such a high level. The group around him not good enough. We've got to find him someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is something that, is probably first and foremost on Daryl Morey's mind. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be, a superstar level player or that they're actively shopping Ben Simmons. Obviously that was a situation with James Harden. When you can get a player of that caliber, maybe you consider it. But, in general, I think that he's probably surveying the landscape. The Sixers still have roster space. They still have some cap space in terms of the, the mid-level exception and things like that moving forward. And they have some attractive pieces now, outside of Simmons when you go, down the roster and you want to talk about, Matisse, Shake, Maxey, guys like that, and future draft picks that, potentially could be in play if, some of these other players that aren't necessarily superstars, but, a guy that can come in and give them 15, 18, 20 points a game from the perimeter. I think that's something that they'll definitely be, scouring the market for between now and the trade deadline.
What's your thoughts on the Ben Simmons situation with the frustration boiling through the lack of scoring? And is this version of Ben good enough?
No, I don't think it is. And I'm one that's been, I was a pretty big Ben Simmons supporter. I have been a little bit disappointed with his play so far this year, and I think games like last night perfectly illustrate why people are getting upset with Ben Simmons. When you have your heavy hitter and Embiid out, you have another all-star, a guy that's made the past 2 all-star games, a first-team all-defensive player, still on the roster, and you would like to think that in a situation like that, he has it in him, and he would feel it inside of him to want to kind of step up and take over these games. Much like he did his rookie year when Embiid was out and they went on a, that 17-game winning streak at the end of the season and it carried into the playoffs. That year we saw Ben really, put the team on his shoulders when Joel was out. He was aggressive. And I think that's probably my biggest concern with Ben so far this season is just the lack of aggression on the offensive end. And to me, that's never meant shooting threes. I'm still pretty indifferent about him, taking shots from the perimeter. To me, it's just more about him looking at the basket, looking to attack. He has, such a unique combination of size, speed, and athleticism. And over the past, 5 games, a couple weeks, there's been, multiple times during the games. I've even been jotting the time and the situation down at some of these times where he has, a much smaller guard on him in the post or on the elbow. And he's just not even looking to be aggressive, not looking to take advantage of the mismatch. And these are the things that I think that he's going to have to do moving forward to give this team a legitimate chance. He doesn't have to be, a gunner from the outside, but he does have to be a guy that's, aggressive and looking to take his own shot and make things happen for himself offensively, and that's something that's been lacking so far. And I think it's fair to wonder, what the deal is.
What are you seeing different from Ben from last year? I mean, he's a guy that we criticized his offense last year. He was still getting 16 points. He's been about 16, 18 point a game scorer. He's down to about 11 to 12. So what is different? Is it, hey, they got better talent around him. He's not as aggressive. The offense is different. Doc doesn't ask him to score as much. What do you sense is different about Ben that scoring average is, it's down pretty significantly?
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, I think a lot of it has to be mental, Mike, because from everything I've seen, Doc has really empowered Ben. He obviously didn't come in trying to change Ben's game. He didn't come in trying to make Ben into a jump shooter. Basically, from the day that Doc was hired and he's been here, he said, I'm going to give Ben the keys to the offense and let him do his thing and play the way that he feels comfortable. And, with the coach giving you that kind of support, you would think that would empower a player to, kind of want to take the next step. And like you just said, Mike, it's been almost the opposite. And to me, it just comes down to aggression. His points are down, his field goal attempts are down, his usage rate is down. Maybe a little of that could be the fact that there's better players around the team. A guy like Shake Milton has really stepped up and is getting, more opportunity with the ball in his hands. Same with Tyrese Maxey, a couple of guys that, in the past weren't there, and now they have these other options. But to me, there's still so much for Ben in the flow of games to put his imprint on games like he has in the past, Mike, like you were saying. And he's just not doing it. And to me, it's a matter of aggression and it's a matter of mindset. When he wants to be aggressive, like we saw, in the last game against Detroit or in the second half of that game against the Celtics last week, he's still the same. He can be the same Ben Simmons that we've seen, in his first 3 years in the league, where he imposes his will, his physicality. He's going downhill. He's attacking the rim. He was 10 for 12 from the line in that Celtics game, and it was really, or in the Pistons game rather, and he was really confident. Clearly of stepping up to the line and getting fouled and knocking down shots, but he's just not doing that consistently. And I think, that's the main thing for me. I want to see consistent aggression from him on the offensive end. With his size and speed and athleticism, there's no reason that he shouldn't be, not only averaging similar to what he averaged the past couple of years at, 16 points a game, but that, that could go up to 18 and 20 without him even taking shots. I'm not talking about outside shots, just with him, using his size and his instinct for the game and attacking the rim. I think the scoring should be up more there, and that will only help the Sixers. When he's aggressive and going downhill and getting toward the rim, that's obviously going to draw defenders in, open things up for these new guys like Seth and Danny and these other guys on the perimeter. And I think I just need to see more consistent aggression from Ben on the offensive end.
Yeah, Gill and I go back and forth about this all the time. If the spacing is right, and if Seth and Danny are playing so great, and Embiid dominates like he does, if Ben is playing elite defense and passing the ball beautifully like we see him do a lot of games, I don't know. Is that going to be something that can get the job done? But my concern is teams will find a way defensively in the postseason to make adjustments to make them feel uncomfortable just based off of Ben's inability to shoot it.
Absolutely. And we've seen that in the past, where teams have kind of been able to, get Ben out of a rhythm on the offensive end in the postseason, whether, it was any of the teams, the Raptors, the Celtics a couple years ago. And, if he's not even being aggressive, it's one thing if he's at least kind of looking for a shot. But if he's not even doing that on the offensive end and they're playing off him and doubling down on Embiid or getting out on the shooters, it's almost like the Sixers are playing 4-on-5 in a half-court offense at times, and that's not going to get it done. They've had success so far with that recipe, Brody, like you said, where, Curry's hitting shots, Danny's hitting shots, and Joel's dominating. But, you can't always expect that formula to come together. You can't always expect Joel to have to go out there and score 38, 39, 40 points against some of these teams to get a W early in the season. You need to have, a more spread out attack offensively. And Ben, he's that guy. He's the all-star, and he's the one that people are going to look to for scoring. I don't think he needs to be, the second option on the team necessarily. That's not how he's built. But to me, he just, he needs to look to establish himself more on the offensive end than he has so far this season. And I think that will be, a huge factor for the team's success moving forward this season for sure.
Michael Kasky-Blomane, CBS Sports covers the Sixers in the NBA. So let me ask you, MKB, to get this team better, do you have to trade Ben Simmons or trade lesser pieces and just get a secondary player or a tertiary player? Really, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you get the team better without trading Ben Simmons, unless you think of a way that you can get the team better by not trading Ben Simmons.
I think you can get the team better by trading Ben and Mike, and I'm still in the camp of, barring a trade that would be a home run. Like, I understand the argument to James Harden, maybe a guy like Bradley Beal, but outside of that, I'm still firmly in the camp that you don't trade Ben Simmons yet. I think there would be a lot of unforeseen things that would happen in terms of the Sixers on the court when you trade Ben that maybe wouldn't jump out right away. He's still, obviously his defense speaks for itself and what he's able to do on that end. And still the amount of, open looks and assist opportunities that he generates for other guys on this team, it's huge. And he's a big key to their offense and what they're able to do. So I do think if you trade him away, not only are you losing a great defender, but you're also kind of losing, who's going to be the guy that sets the table for everyone, that generates these open looks, that, gets Seth the wide open looks, that can hit Danny in transition when he goes into the corner. I think Ben does so many things for this team that it's easy to obviously harp on the offense, as we've all done. But to me, I think a quicker way to improve the team would be to look at, a lesser guy. For instance, Buddy Hield obviously has been a name that's been thrown around. Zach LaVine in Chicago, a guy like that where you wouldn't necessarily have to maybe trade, one of your top two players in Ben or Joel. Maybe you could get a deal done with some of the younger pieces and future draft picks, things like that, where you get another guy that's in here capable of scoring 20, maybe even 30 on a given night, but you still keep, the playmaking and the defense that Ben provides. To me, that's probably the quickest solution of how you could improve the team, but also, still hold on to Ben and all that he brings to the floor.
I look at Daryl Morey's trade to get rid of Al Horford's contract. He brings back Danny Green and Ferguson's money. So how much of this is us needing to realize that patience is key? You don't fix those issues from last year with just one Al Horford trade. And when that money comes off the books, that gives Daryl Morey some freedom to maybe add that next player that we're kind of waiting for right now this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that one trade has done wonders for the Sixers. But like you said, Brody, you can't expect, from how disappointing and how disjointed that team looked last year, you can't necessarily expect one trade to come in and all of a sudden they turn around and they're championship contenders. I do think it's a situation where, both Morey and Doc are still getting a feel for this team. Less than 20 games in total on the season, a whole new coaching staff, obviously the new regime in the front office, and, new rotation, pretty much 2 different starters, a whole different bench team. So I think it's a situation where, the Harden situation was, at the doorstep. So they had to kind of consider it. Obviously it was going to happen. Some team was going to trade for him. They had to do their due diligence, but I really do think that they're not, out there shopping Ben or looking to necessarily shake things up in a major way right now for this team. I think they want to see, what they have in terms of the pieces that they've put in place, and then potentially complement those guys, moving forward with trades and things leading up to the deadline. But they've been, pretty adamant, Doc and Daryl, that is, that they like, the pieces that they have in place. And I do believe them when they say that. Obviously they're always going to, evaluate options when they become available, like the Harden trade. But in the short term and moving forward, I think that they have good pieces in place, and they can make a couple moves to, solidify the team around Ben and Joel. And, the East is pretty open this year. Obviously there's the Nets look good, but they're not, invincible, especially on the defensive end. The Bucks are still the Bucks. So to me, the Sixers look pretty formidable to start the season. And I don't think it's panic time, to make a move unless something, a really good offer presents itself to you.
Well, and MKB, I think one of the questions is, and I don't know if we found this out last night or if it's something we're learning, is guys like Milton and Maxey, like, you can't count on them in big moments. Like, they're nice players. They have skill. They've been nice surprises, but you need them in a game 5 on the road somewhere against, Boston or Milwaukee, Miami. I don't know that I can count on those guys. I got to get an upgrade from those guys, at least for this year. They might help me 2-3 years down the road, but not this year.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, Mike. And I think that kind of goes back to what I was just saying. If you could get, a guy that's a high-level player, like, I'll keep using the Buddy Hield example just because that's a name that seems to keep popping up. A guy like that, can step in and give you that perimeter production where you can kind of trust them. They're a little bit more, seasoned and a little bit more experienced, where a guy like Maxey, he's obviously shown the highs, but he's also had some struggles recent times, which is to be expected, for a rookie. And the same thing with, Milton, who obviously looks a little bit more poised at this point in his career, but he's still, has far less than 100 games under his belt. He's only in his second season playing here. So, to expect these guys to consistently step up every night, that's just, it doesn't happen a lot of times. It takes, a couple seasons, some bumps and bruises along the way for guys to get comfortable. And the Sixers have, like you said, Mike, these guys are going to be valuable moving forward. But in the short term, for this season with an open title window, it's tough to depend on them. And I think they would, certainly benefit from bringing in another guy that can, do what they do, but at a slightly more consistent and reliable level.
What stands out to you the most about Tobias Harris this year?
I think just the confidence and the aggression he's playing with. I think that Doc really, when he came in, he said that he wanted to kind of just unlock Tobias, get him to stop thinking so much and being in his own head. And it really seems like that's kind of, that manifested on the floor. He's shooting the threes without hesitation, knocking them down at a, well over 40% clip. He's attacking the rim with decisiveness. And, that's the player that Tobias could be. And I think that, that's what Sixers fans were kind of hoping for. Obviously, when he was signed, it's still, the contract is the contract. It's never going to be a great deal. They overpaid for him, certainly. But at least this year, he's really playing to the best of his abilities. And I think it's mainly just, the Doc, he feels a little bit, more at ease, I guess, with Doc as his coach and the way things are laid out for the team. It's a little bit more easy for, him to know his role, know what's expected of him, and just to come out and not think and be aggressive, let the threes fly and take the ball to the rim. And he's been doing, really well with that so far this season.
You've been around this team for the last couple of years. We've seen what they were. Have you altered your expectations for what you think this team can be? I mean, they were a 6 seed last year, got swept in the first round. I think coming into the year, most people thought, I don't know, did they get any better? Are they any more than a 6, 5, 4 seed? Are they better than that, in your opinion, after what you've seen so far?
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And to me, them, the way they performed last year was a bit of an anomaly. Obviously, the sweep in the playoffs came without Ben Simmons, who I'm not saying that they would have won the series if Ben was playing, but certainly he could have, helped them, especially defensively, guarding some of those guys. Really weird year last year, obviously, with the pause and then the bubble and the fact that they were so dominant at home. Like every single team that came in there last year would lose. The Clippers, the Lakers, the Bucks, whoever came to Philly lost. It was the fact that they were just so inconsistent on the road. And I think that was, a little bit of an aberration. I think the team that they were 2 years ago when they lost to the Raptors in the second round in 7 games, and the year before when they got to the second round and lost to the Celtics, I think that was a little bit closer to, the realistic team that the Sixers are with Ben and Joel and pieces around them. And this year, with the way that the East is constructed, like I said, there's not a bona fide favorite. On paper, probably you would say the Nets after the Harden trade. But to me, it's open. I think the Sixers will finish in the top 4 in the conference this year. Maybe they won't hold on to the top seed like they're in now, but I think they'll have, home court in the first round like they have in the past. And they have, depending on what other moves they make, and as long as Joel can stay healthy, I think this is a team, right now that could contend to, conference finals, maybe even get to the finals. But maybe to be a championship team, I think some more tweaks, still need to be made to the roster.
I guess, and somebody put a comment up on the screen. It says we won't be able to defend Durant, Harden, Giannis, those type of players without Ben Simmons on the team. So, in the end, do you sacrifice Ben Simmons' defense and all the intangibles he brings to get a better offensive player? I guess that's something they need to make a decision on as well.
Yeah, and to me, I really don't think you do, unless, like I said, if they did it for Harden, it's understandable. We're talking about an all-time elite level scorer. Same with Bradley Beal, a guy that's, top 2, top 3 in the league and scoring year in, year out, that would really, complement Joel and the rest of the guys on the team really well. But other than that, I think one of the things that the Sixers do have going for them against a team like the Nets or, the Lakers or the Bucks, that they do have a lot of options on the defensive end to throw at some of these guys. And it starts with Ben, of course. Obviously, you have Matisse. Danny Green is a solid perimeter defender. You just have options that you could throw at some of these guys. And like I said, that starts with Ben, and his versatility defensively has been on display all year. He can go from guarding Kemba Walker in one series to guarding Jeremy Grant in the next series, things like that. So I do think that's what I was saying earlier, that there's obviously issues with Ben's game still, but he does bring so much to the team on both ends of the floor that, removing him without putting in, a very, very high level scorer, I think would be detrimental to, what the Sixers do on both ends of the floor.
All right, inside the Sixers, they lose last night. They're back tomorrow right here on 97.3 ESPN. Taking on the Lakers. LeBron and the Lakers in the house. You think Embiid plays tomorrow night?
Yeah, I would imagine so, Mike. I think a lot of these rests are, precautionary, trying to get him, time off throughout the season so he's ready to go. But I would imagine, a big game like that against the Lakers, Joel gets up for those. I think he'll be ready to go.
All right, and then, of course, they're back on Friday and Saturday. We have all those games right here on 97.3 ESPN. Actually, Friday and Sunday. They're off on Saturday. And Michael Caskey-Blomain, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. Good to see you, MKB. That's a nice beard you got going there.
It hasn't been shaved in a year.
Wow, a whole year?
Yeah, it's since March, whenever the lockdown began last year. That was my move. I was like, all right, I'm letting it flow.
It looks
I
good.
Respect that.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Amish country.
Thanks, fellas. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Take care.
Good talking to you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, Michael Caskey-Blomain, CBS Sports. Looks good. I can't do a beard like that. I can't his is like long.
Yeah. Like I'm thinking like Lord of the Rings, like those long, I like that. I can't
like the
do that
Amish
either.
guy.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I can't either. Mine it starts to go out like sideways.
You should do it and see what happens.
I've tried.
Yeah, but for the people, I mean, we got to give the people what they want. If people are going to start commenting in, which I'm just giving you the nod right now, people, that they want to see this, you got to give the people what they want. We started the show with that.
I said I've tried. I can't do it. It won't do what his does.
No, we don't want it to do what he does. We want it to do what it does, and we just want to poke fun at you when it gets to an ugly look.
Gotcha.
That's all.
That's the key, right?
Yes. Make fun of you.
Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, coming up at 4 o'clock, Andrew DeCecco, football at 4. Some Eagles stuff. I want to get into the draft with DeCecco, talk a little bit, pick his brain on the draft. I know he's been working on the draft pretty much all season long, is essentially he's in draft mode. But I started to work on the draft and thought about a couple things. So I do want to throw a couple of draft questions out there for the people and get people's thoughts on that. You can, of course, watch the show live, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. A lot of people watch it on the YouTube channel. You can get over there and check us out. And, of course, PT today, Tuesday with Thompson. What's wrong with the Flyers? We got all that coming up on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Tatum, and Harris knocks it down with a right-hand jam. Timeout Los Angeles, and he is fired up.
The Sixers host LeBron and the Lakers.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
Kendall Auto Plaza offers the area's best car and truck buying experience with 60 years of customer satisfaction and community service. What's on their 100-acre lot? A huge inventory of Ford, Lincoln, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Chrysler, and over 100 quality and certified pre-owned vehicles. Whether you use your car, truck, or SUV for work or play, discover why Kendall customers are so loyal. Kendall Auto Plaza, exit 10 of the Parkway on Stone Harbor Boulevard, or shop from home at KendallAutoplaza.com.
Buying some pretzel sticks?
Excuse me?
This is your wake-up call from TracFone Wireless.
Okay.
What if you didn't eat all those pretzel sticks by the end of the month, so this store took them back?
Good luck.
That's how some wireless companies are with your data, but TracFone Wireless gives you unlimited carryover data with active service, so you keep what you pay for. Plans start at $20 a month.
Wow, that's cool.
Sir, are you bothering the customers?
Yeah, hang on.
This is your wake-up call, people. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control.
Available at major retailers. See terms and conditions at TracFone.com.
Weightlifters and fitness enthusiasts, you got to check out weightliftinghq.com. They are a local company right here in South Jersey that operates fully online and caters to weightlifters and fitness enthusiasts interested in working out from home. They offer high-end weightlifting and fitness equipment available to be delivered right to your home. Check them out online at weightliftinghq.com and use the code RADIO10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order. That's code RADIO10 at weightliftinghq.com.
Hindsight is 2020. 2020 was a brutal year with a lot we couldn't control. Pandemic, economy, unemployment. What can we control? Our job, our career. Don't look back with 2020 hindsight next year and see yourself in that 2020 job. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You could start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Live online classes meet just twice a week. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Beachcombing, baking cookies, learning French. Aren't these what you'd rather be doing than thinking about your Medicare prescriptions? Well, Walgreens is here to help you get back to it with convenient refill and pickup options, expert pharmacists to answer all your questions, and Medicare copays as low as $0. Zero. Which is also the number of cares in the world you'll have as you stroll the beach, eating cookies and speaking French. Oh la la. Walgreens.
$0 copays apply to Tier 1 generic drugs and select plans where Walgreens is a preferred pharmacy.
Everyone loves shopping online. Well, I'm going to tell you what I tell my golf buddies when they buy clubs. Stop searching for coupon codes. Download Capital One Shopping to your computer. Capital One Shopping instantly searches for available coupon codes and automatically applies them at checkout. Plus, it's free, and you don't even need a Capital One card to use it. That's like hitting a hole in one without even trying. Capital One Shopping. It's kind of genius. What's in your wallet?
Savings and available coupons vary.
Before you drive the all-new Nissan Rogue, you gotta ask yourself, how rogue are you gonna go? We talking be one with nature in the desert rogue? Go snowshoeing in Alaska rogue? Or take the long way home just because kind of rogue? Just a question, but with 5 available drive modes, you're sure to find the answer.
Go rogue in the all-new, fiercely reimagined 2021 Nissan Rogue, now with the most standard safety features in its class. See Owner's Manual for important safety information. Auto-Pacific segmentation. 2021 Nissan Rogue versus latest in-market competitors. Base models compared.
There's only one original stuffed crust, and it's only from Pizza Hut. The only place that gives you up to 3 toppings on your original stuffed crust for just $11.99. Order yours online at pizzahut.com. Ask or click for limited time offer. Extra charge for more toppings and extra cheese. Exclusions apply.
You can watch the Sports Bash live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Search 97.3 ESPN or visit our website, 973ESPN.com.
All right, we're back. Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN. On the radio, on your phone, on the free mobile app, on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You can watch the show live. The Phillies have signed JT Realmuto, 5 years, $115 million, so he's back with the Phillies. I mean, it's nice to have JT back. It would kind of be like, but it's deflating to know that I don't know that he adds much in terms of competitiveness of where you were and where you are now.
I agree with you. Yeah, it's a little disappointing. We'll see what they do at shortstop, but even then, you add your shortstop, whether it's Didi, whether it's Simmons, you're in the same boat, right?
You bring back Didi and give you got the same team. You have added not one everyday player. You got the same. Where have they made a change in the everyday lineup?
They have not.
Not one.
Nope, not one.
I mean, they're literally rolling with Hoskins, and you don't even know if he's healthy and ready to play. Kingery.
And no DH this year is going to mess with that. I mean, that whole thing last year with, maybe you play Bowman first and then you have Reese play DH. Like, you can't do that anymore this year.
Right, because now who's the guy who sits out? Somebody's sitting out every day. One of those guys is sitting out every day, whether it be Kingery, and I know a lot of people say it's got to be Kingery. Okay, Kingery is a guy that they have expectations for, so maybe he's the guy, and Segura plays second base. If Kingery plays, Segura's out. If Segura plays, Bohm's out. If Bohm's out, plays, Hoskins. Somebody's not playing. So the DH being out does hurt them, even though I hate the DH. The outfield's McCutchen, the 2 same center fielders in Harper.
I honestly feel that I'd rather put Scott Kingery in center field every day so you can have him out there over Quinn and Hazley, and then you have your Gene Segura playing second
It's an
base.
option.
Yeah. I don't think they would do it, but I would rather that.
I don't hate that option and play Kingery in center, have him be your everyday center fielder, and then the other 2 guys are kind of like, Hazley's plays left here and there.
Yeah, he'll start when there's a matchup that they favor because they never gets a chance to bat against any lefty. So if there's a righty starter, maybe you throw him out there to give him a day. I don't know though. I don't know what they're going to do. But the contract breakdown is out there. You mentioned the deferred money. 2021 is only a $10 million hit with $10 million deferred, and then the rest is about $24 million.
Well, there's a lot of interesting quirks in this contract that we're finding out. Apparently, he's deferring a lot of money because of the pandemic,
right?
So that the Phillies don't have to pay him up front the average value of the contract. He's deferring that to the back end because of the the pandemic, there's not enough money coming in for them to say, hey, that's a pretty creative idea. You don't see that happen too much.
Yeah, so the $10 million deferred for the first year of the contract goes to the 2 years so he won't be playing for the Phillies in 26 or 27, but he's going to be getting paid $10 million for this contract. So you're just going to pay him when he's not playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I don't hate it, though. I think it works out fine for both parties. When I say that, it's almost, I feel that if there is going to be a, quote, loser in this, it's got to be JT, just based off of him hitting free agency this year when all this happens. If this is a normal season, he's getting significantly way more money than this. So he's taking the hit.
Probably, but I don't think teams wanted to pay a catcher.
If the year was normal, I think more teams would have bit on JT, though. I think I agree with you. They statistically and historically don't put as much value in there. But if there was a normal year, all the fans, all the money coming in, I bet you more teams are intrigued than what we have now.
Maybe, except for the money aspect of I don't think anybody wanted to pay a catcher $150 million over a 5 or 6 year span.
Well, you remember his agent was coming out saying they wanted $200 million. Now, we all knew that was ludicrous, but we figured, okay, where would it fall in between 110 and 200?
Look,
I didn't think it would be this close to 110.
I hate to bring Ben Simmons into this mix, but in the event that JT starts to struggle, he still is also the best defensive catcher. I mean, he wipes out runs left and right by throwing guys out. I don't know how long that pop time's going to be what it is, but he's the best offensive catcher. He's the best defensive catcher. Now, how long are you getting elite offense for his position? He's not an elite offensive player. He's a good offensive player. But I think the fact that he plays catcher elevates our thoughts on how good of an offensive player he is, when realistically he's just an average offensive player.
Yeah, I'd say he's a little bit above that. I wouldn't say he's
above average. I'm okay with you. You can nudge me to above average.
Yeah, that's where he falls. But you're
seriously, right. I might be a little old school with the batting average stuff, and I get that. He's a 265 hitter, which is not great. It's average. He's got some pop for the catching position. He had 11 home runs last year, which in a 60-game season, it's good. So he gives you pop behind the plate. He's an average. His batting average is average, but he's a run producer. I'm not sitting here saying he stinks by any stretch. He's an above-average player who just got mega dollars.
Yeah, there's no doubt that he is overvalued based off of the position that he plays. His production offensively, I should say, gets this praise and this love based off of his position. If he was a center fielder, you're not jumping up, going crazy, insanely woohooing for this guy. He's just a nice guy.
Dude,
but
you
because
just gave
he plays
someone
catcher,
$100+ million. That guy to me has to be.
Well, think about it. George Springer just got 5 years, 150, right? Or 6 years, 150.
Mm-hmm.
Put that in perspective on what you're getting out of JT. Does that match? Probably not.
No, of course not.
Probably not.
Springer's a stud.
Yeah.
JT's very good. I mean, look, if he doesn't play the position that he plays, he ain't a $110 million player.
Well, just to be fair, George Springer's hitting 265, and he's an average 270 guy. So, I mean, that comes into how much you value the batting average compared to other elements.
What's George Springer's home runs?
George Springer's home runs, 14 last year in the shortened season. 39 the year before, 22, 29, 16, 20.
Yeah.
So he gave, but I'm just saying, last year he had 265. He's an average 270 guy. It's another thing where just the average these days don't pop as much as they used to. You don't see it as high as you once did because of, the home run hitting and things of that nature.
Now, the Joe Show, watch it on YouTube, says Hoskins averaged around 239 the past 4 years. I think Hoskins, this is it, man.
I have low expectations for Rhys Hoskins.
Yep. That rookie year, he hit 18 homers in 50 games. And look, he's had good power numbers. I hate where they hit him. I hate hitting him in the 2-hole.
Oh, I hated that too last year. I hated it.
His on-base percentage is decent.
That's because he walks. That's why. He walks.
But if your expectation of him is walking,
it's bad. It's unacceptable. He brings too much to the table for you to be satisfied with him just walking.
Yeah, I think if he was healthy, he had Tommy John. I think if he was healthy, they may have tried harder to move him this offseason. And look, he's probably a trade candidate for in season. But they need more from Hoskins. If this team's going to surprise somebody and make a run to a playoff berth for the first time since 2011, they need way more from Maurice Hoskins. And they need $110 million production from JT Realmuto, not $50 million production. Football at 4 next.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tonight on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
What a save by Carter Hart.
The Flyers are in Jersey to face the Devils. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN, and listen live on the free mobile app.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Angelic Health Telehealth.
You really look at the nutrition label, or do you just dig right into what you're eating? The Nutrition Facts label was created to give us insight into what's in our foods, from how much sugar and fiber is in a box of cereal to how much fat is in a package of almonds. Knowing this information can help us compare products, track nutrients, ensure we're getting enough vitamins and minerals, and not getting too much of what we shouldn't be eating. We can see if we need more or less of a particular nutrient, and reading the label can even help us manage certain chronic conditions. So whether you're a little unclear on how to read the Nutrition Facts label, or you just want to understand why it's useful in making the best nutrition decisions, we've got 4 dietitian-approved answers to the most common questions about nutrition labels. Check it out on our website. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Brought to you by Angelic Telehealth. They're by your side. Visit angelic.health today.
On some models, excludes Corvette with GMF financing, excludes prior sales. See dealer for details.
Start the new year in a new Chevy at Bennett Chevy. Come see all the hot new 2021s and get our famous unbeatable Bennett deal. GM supplier employee pricing, plus you keep all the rebates. And right now, that could be up to 25% off MSRP. Yes, up to 25% off. Shop all you want, but there's just no beating Bennett. Looking for pre-owned? Bennett will pay you a minimum $7,000 for your trade towards any pre-owned in stock. That's at least $7,000, regardless of how or even if your old car runs. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And you will absolutely love dealing with Bennett. There's no games, no gimmicks, just real deals and no need to negotiate, because our non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads and start the new year in a new Chevy at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
O'Reilly. If you're ready for an oil change, trust the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your car. Right now, get 5 quarts of Valvoline full synthetic motor oil and a Wix filter for $33.99. Plus, get a $10 gift card after mail-in rebate and double O-Rewards points. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com. O'Reilly
Auto Parts. Body Armor Light isn't just a sports drink. It's more than a sports drink. With no artificial sweeteners, no sugar added, and only 20 calories per 16-ounce bottle. Body Armor Light is changing the game when it comes to hydration. Plus, potassium-packed electrolytes, coconut water, antioxidants, and vitamins make Body Armor Light the perfect choice for your next workout and your active lifestyle. Body Armor Light, more than a sports drink. Head to drinkbodyarmor.com to learn more.
Let's face it, football fans, 2020 was kind of like... Ouch. But Unibet Sportsbook is betting 2021 is going to be a bit more like... And it starts with a big game. Sign up for $20 free today, $21 on game day, and 2 $250 risk-free bets. Let's do 2021 better. Unibet Sportsbook. Crazy about the odds. Must be 21 or over to play and physically located in New Jersey. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Sports is using technology to take the fan experience to the next level. When it comes to hiring, there's one solution that's been advancing its technology for years: ZipRecruiter. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/max. ZipRecruiter's technology identifies people with the right experience and invites them to apply to your job. No wonder 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/max. That's ZipRecruiter.com/max.
DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of Super Bowl 55, is bringing back their golden ticket giveaway with up to $55 million in prizes up for grabs. All you have to do is enter DraftKings' free Super Bowl prediction challenge. Once you submit your picks, you'll get a free instant prize up to $25,000. Download the DraftKings app now and use code MAX. That's code MAX, only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of Super Bowl 55. Terms, conditions, and eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers. WENJ, WENJHT, Millville, Atlantic City, 97.3 ESPN. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with 97.3 ESPN.com's Andrew DeCecco.
My first allegiance is what will be best for the Philadelphia Eagles and our fans for the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. It's Football at 4.
All right, Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, drops tomorrow at 6 a.m. with Jeff Mosher and Adam Kaplan. Today, Andrew DeCecco from 97.3 ESPN.com. It's brought to you by Dr. Lyle M. Back. For everything from skincare to cosmetic surgery, go to iloveLyleBack.com or call 856-MAKEOVER for Dr. Lyle M. Back, proud sponsor of Football at 4. And, of course, Andrew DeCecco here on a Tuesday. We'll get his thoughts on the hires, what's next, and I want to get some draft conversation going. I know Andrew is chomping at the bit to talk a little draft. I want to get his opinion on a couple of things, and he joins us now here on the Boardwalk on the Hotline. Andrew, what's up, man?
Hey, Mike. How you doing, man?
All is well, and let's first start and get your initial reaction to the coordinators that are now in here. What do you know about Nick Sirianni's staff, and kind of give us an overview on what you think of Jonathan Gannon as the defensive coordinator? We'll start with him first.
Yeah, well, Jonathan Gannon, obviously he's a young coordinator. He was a defensive backs coach for 3 seasons with the Colts. Before that, he had experience with the Vikings and the Titans. And a lot of people may not realize this, but he also has a background in scouting, which I found rather notable as far as a player evaluation moving forward. But look, he's a young coordinator who had a lot of success with the Colts developing young talent, such as young corner like Rock Ya-Sin, a young safety like Kari Willis, and Julian Blackmon, who was a good find in the NFL draft, who a lot of people don't talk about. You hear about Antoine Winfield and Jeremy Chin and those type of guys, but Julian Blackmon performed just as well as those guys. And then Xavier Rhodes. Xavier Rhodes is a player that he had experience with the Vikings, who got him to play at his peak performance with the Vikings, and he also kind of revived his career with the Colts, and he's going to be a free agent here moving in this offseason. So that's something to watch. But I think you're going to see a lot of man press from his style, and I think that when you look at what they have in Darius Slay, he's going to be more aggressive. He's going to be able to take more chances on the foot and more plays on the football. This might not appease many Eagles fans, but Jalen Mills fits the prototype of the type of corner that he likes in his system. That physical, a little bit longer, more quick than they are fast type of corners, and of course with the safety help over the top. But and they're going to be a lot of blitzing and a lot of attack style. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does there. I do find it a little bit peculiar knowing that he went with 2 young coordinators. I probably would have opted for a veteran either on the offensive coordinator spot or the defensive coordinator spot.
Yeah, it's interesting. You brought up a point that I don't know that it's been talked about a lot, is once you get guys from one team, you look at their free agents. They have some very interesting Indianapolis free agents. The problem is I don't know how big of a player Philadelphia can be in free agency, but they have a couple guys that are free that would fit the bill and the needs.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're looking at a guy like Zach Pascal, they're probably going to put a second-round tender on him, I would assume, which is going to be well out of the Eagles' range, and they're not going to let him go regardless. And even if they did, the Eagles wouldn't have the means to be able to acquire somebody like that. I do know Nick Sirianni is a big Zach Pascal fan. He did wonders for his development over the last 2 seasons, over 600 yards receiving over the past 2 years. But Xavier Rose, to me, strikes me as somebody that if the money's right, you could probably land him with a veteran free agent deal. If he got one of his better seasons under Gannon's tutelage, so I do think that there's a good match there. If he's willing to get on board, I think that he would be a reasonable player to think that he can come into the fold there.
Real quick, there a couple interesting free agents secondary. You mentioned Brodes. Malik Hooker, the safety's had some injury problems, but, working in the secondary, that might be a guy that wants to come play for Gannon as well. T.Y. Hilton is also a veteran wide receiver, a little older, but you wonder when you look at that. And another guy to keep an eye on, I think with Sirianni, Andrew, is Trey Burton, who they talked about 2 tight ends. I don't know if you can keep Ertz, but maybe you could bring Burton who's a really good receiving tight end.
Yeah, and that's another thing. We're talking about Nick Sirianni and his offense. There's going to be 2 tight end sets, and Zach Ertz probably won't be here next year. That also puts in, Kyle Pitts in the first-round conversation perhaps in the NFL draft. But Trey Burton is a guy who's obviously familiar with the Eagles organization. I think he'd be a good low-cost option to fit as that second tight end there. He's also another thing to look for in their offense. He likes getting these quick twitch receivers in space, so I think that could play well into Jalen Reagor. And he likes the pass catching running backs. So those are a couple. Knowing those 2 nuggets there, I mean, you can kind of pair. There's going to be some free agents out there that fit those qualities as well as in the draft. So I mean, there's definitely a certain identity to his offense, to a certain mold of players that he looks for.
Are you surprised they didn't go with any veterans in the defensive coordinator position or the offensive coordinator position? I figured, look, he's age 39. Maybe at least on one side of the ball, you get a Marvin Lewis or a Jim Caldwell. Not specifically those guys, but someone that fits that mold.
Yeah, I was more kind of shocked that there wasn't a veteran defensive mind, knowing that Sirianni's never called plays before, but I figured he'd want to take ownership of the offense. So I figured this would be a good opportunity for him to call plays. So I didn't necessarily think that he would surround himself with a veteran offensive coach, although, Jim Caldwell or even Pep Hamilton, who could be in play for the quarterback's coach, depending on what happens with the Tennessee Titans. He interviewed there. But I mean, on the defensive side, I understand the ideology of bringing in a young coach that kind of has an upward trajectory there. But I mean, there's a lot of veteran defensive coaches that you can kind of plug in there, that they can just oversee that defense, much like Jim Schwartz did, and let him and Sirianni can kind of just focus on the offense. He's going to give Gannon free reign, I assume, to make those decisions on the defensive side of the ball. But it would be a little bit less daunting for a veteran coach there.
Yeah, that's a lot of good points there. Sirianni on the offensive side, young guy. Gannon on the defensive side, young guy. They did bring in an offensive coordinator as well, and I'm interested to get what about Shane Steichen, who, if on the surface I said, hey, he was the coordinator for the Chargers. Justin Herbert had one of the best rookie seasons ever, but it seems that a lot of Chargers fans were like, hey, don't let the door hit you on the way out, buddy. What do you know about Steichen? And, they ran the ball at a top 10 rate on first down. I think Eagle fans might like that. He seems like a guy who commits to establishing the run. And I wonder if he even ends up calling plays as another element to all this. But what do we know about Shane Steichen?
This struck me as a relatively bland signing, Mike. He only had one full season as offensive coordinator. He called the plays with the Chargers, but I have a feeling that Sirianni's going to have his handprints all over that. I think that Steichen's going to be very involved in the game plans, but looking at what he did with Justin Herbert, I think that's a little bit overblown. I think that should be more credited to Pep Hamilton, the quarterback's coach, versus Steichen. He had one full season there, but and the Chargers did rank ninth in the NFL in total yards and 16 passing yards. But then you look at many of the head-scratching calls. That was one of the most frustrating offenses to watch last year, given the amount of talent that they had. And they were 21st in the red zone scoring and 30th in rushing yards per play. And also their 24 points per game was relatively pedestrian. I believe they're only 19th or 20th in the NFL in that. So, I thought there were other candidates that probably would have been a better fit. There's a lot of question marks here with Steichen. There's not a lot known about Steichen yet. But, just watching their offense last season, there's definitely reason for skepticism, I would say.
I feel something that might be going unnoticed in all of these coaching changes is actually keeping Stoutland. What do you think this means to the organization and to some of the players that have been in this locker room?
Well, I'll tell you what. Jeff Stoutland is one of the most revered. He's revered coaches on the Eagles staff. He's integral to what they do. He has a lot of responsibility for a position coach. He's also the run game coordinator. He's overseen the development of several offensive linemen, young offensive linemen that were kind of thrown into the fire last season, such as Jordan Mailata, Nate Erbig. And, you know, he's just been such a steady, consistent presence on the Eagles coaching staff. And looking at, you know, Steichen and his background, Mike, you talked about how they like to run the football. They like to run the football a lot when he was with the Chargers. And, you know, kind of combining that with the run game coordinator and Stoutland, I think that the Eagles could have an entirely new identity on offense. So Jeff Stoutland, it was so crucial to retain him that I don't know that many people understand how important that was on the surface.
Yeah, Andrew DeCecco is with us, 97.3 ESPN.com. Press Taylor is out. They're bringing in a new pass game coordinator as well. And obviously, Andrew, this whole staff, I would imagine, is being put together to try to fix Carson Wentz. Do you read it like that, or do you think there will be a legitimate quarterback battle when we get to camp?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you read the tea leaves, this is definitely – these hires are made solely with you know, Carson Wentz in mind. But if you're going to just hand someone the quarterback spot one way or the other, whether it be Carson or Jalen Hurts, I think that's malpractice on Sirianni's part or the Eagles' part, because Carson Wentz hasn't done anything last season to warrant being handed a starting position. I think that if you do keep Jalen Hurts, which I'm not 100% sure that they do, I think there should be it's fair to have a quarterback competition. Obviously, you're going to give, you know, a grade Carson Wentz a little bit of a curve given the investment in him. But I think just for the, you know, from the locker room perspective and the players that were there last season, I think they're going to want to, you know, see it play out, have the two guys compete. But, you know, with the hires that have been made, it certainly seems like they're catering towards Carson Wentz.
Does anybody feel that Wentz is kind of like that? Wentz maybe said, hey, I want out of here. I want Peterson gone, and never thinking the Eagles were actually fired Doug Peterson. And it's like, oh my God, they called my bluff and fired this guy. Now, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, does anybody feel like maybe that's why he hasn't said a word yet? He hasn't said anything about the new coach. Hey, welcome to the new coach. Pumped up to work with you. Nothing. Like, do you think he was like, hey, I'm not happy. I want out. Me and Doug can't get along. They fired Doug, and he's like, oh, my God, they fired Doug. I didn't want to be here. You didn't have to do that.
Well, I do find Carson's silence to be a little bit perplexing, Mike, to be honest with you. Honestly, I mean, it's going to be critique either way what he says, be it good or bad, body language, this, that, anything they could read into. I mean, it's going to be kind of dissected. That's just the nature of the quarterback position. But I will say, being the leader, the face of the franchise, you owe it to not only the fan base that have stuck by you, but you also owe it to your teammates and the organization to step forward and make a comment here or there. Just say, let's go, or something similar, like looking forward to, you know, welcome coach, looking forward to.
Hold on. You think it's enough? You think it's enough if he just tweets or Instagram, like if he just says that, or does he have to come out and say something?
I think it's been too long. I think it's at this point, it's been too long that a let's go with a picture might be read into a little bit heavily. But if he did this weeks ago, I think it would be maybe a different conversation.
Yeah. Just anything that kind of show, looking, you know, excited to, you know, get behind you, Coach Sirianni, looking forward to the 2021 season, anything like that. The fact that you hear radio silence on his end leaves a lot of things up to interpretation, whether that's right or wrong. That's just the nature of it. You haven't heard a guy speak since, I believe it was week 13 or 14. I mean, it's kind of, and you're hearing all these different stories. Seems like every day there's a new story coming out about Carson Wentz. I'm asked about it every single day. I don't like to make assumptions because, you know, you just don't know. He hasn't said a word, but I think that's fair to say that I don't know that Carson expected Doug to be fired, but here we are, and this is the situation, and we still haven't heard anything from him. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And, you know, I just feel his agent and everyone surrounding him is just telling him, hey, let's be quiet. Let's figure out the situation. But just to kind of backpack off what Gill was saying, to throw it the other way. We were told that he needed time to think about things. Well, what if he did think about things? We were informed they had a conversation, him and Sirianni. What if he's like, you know what? I'm not sold, and I still want to be traded. What do you do if you're the Eagles then?
And that's been my answer, Hunter. My answer when folks ask me questions about Carson Wentz, I said, we still don't know if Carson even wants to be in Philadelphia. We don't know if he's fully bought into Sirianni's vision. We don't know what the conversation was. We don't know if Sirianni told him, look, this is the situation. There's going to be a quarterback competition in the offseason. We don't know what the conversation or the dialogue was between the two guys. He may not like the vision. He could have been brought in with the sense of, okay, you're going to deal with this guy to the Colts. We don't know anything because we're just kind of left to kind of surmise what kind of conversations could have taken place. But I definitely think that there's also that aspect where, you see all the different hires and everything, and it certainly seems like the Ducks are lined up for Carson Wentz to return and, get him a strong support team that kind of rebound. But we don't know that because, like we said, it's been radio silence on his end. We don't know what Sirianni told him, and who knows if he's part of his vision.
Andrew DeCecco, football at 4. Dave Phipp also leaving the organization. Deuce Staley leaving the organization. So what kind of loss is that to the coaching staff, especially Deuce? That whole story, I've never seen anything like it, to be honest with you, where he had so much support from players to get a job, didn't get it, and you wonder, you haven't seen a lot of players coming out in support of this particular, not that people are bashing or saying, but it's got to be awkward that some of these players were lobbying for a guy that was on the former staff, and now he's not here.
Yeah, and if you remember back to when we spoke last week, I said it would have been better for both parties for Deuce to move on and turn the page on his career. I feel like it wasn't going to happen. It was very evident. He survived different regimes. He did everything that you possibly could have done. It was evident that the writing was on the wall that it wasn't going to happen here in Philadelphia for whatever reason. So I'm glad to see Deuce get another opportunity with the Lions. I think he's going to be a head coach in this league. You don't get all those different players to advocate for you for no reason. There's something there. He's a leader of men. I think that he would be a better head coach than he would a position coach. And I think in the right situation, he'll get a head coaching job and he's going to thrive. I don't think it would have happened in Philadelphia. So it made sense for both parties to kind of just mutually part ways. But that's kind of where I stand with that.
Obviously, moving up in the ranks as a coach is how it all works, but how valuable is it that Sirianni was a wide receiver coach, a quarterback coach, then an offensive coordinator? I'm just looking at the versatility and maybe what he can bring to impact this team, but maybe I'm reaching, considering a lot of these coaches, they do move up in positions.
No, I don't necessarily think that you're reaching, Hunter. I think that his versatile coaching background was probably, it looked great on the resume, and I'm sure that kind of helped bring him, make him a more prominent candidate to the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles struggle in the areas in which he coached and kind of oversaw some resurgences and a lot of player development. Looking at what he did with the Chargers with Tyrell Williams and Keenan Allen, and looking what he did with the Colts when he didn't have T.Y. Hilton available. He got the most out of a Zach Pascal, out of a Marcus Johnson, out of a Chester Rogers, and guys that weren't necessarily household names. And oversaw quarterback play. So he's somebody that can give his 2 cents and stick his head in a lot of these different rooms and be able to have that presence and be able to speak on a lot of those things. So just having that versatility made him stand out, in my opinion, from a lot of other candidates.
All right, Andrew, we have a couple more minutes left. I want to focus on the draft and get first your opinion on, now that Sirianni's the coach, does that change your thought on number 6 from where it might have been if Doug was the coach?
Not necessarily, Mike, because I do think that those guys are both offensive-minded guys. Now, what kind of will be the determining factor, in my opinion, what happens what the Miami Dolphins choose to do at 3 and what the Bengals choose to do at 5. Both of those teams strike me as teams that might be in heavy pursuit of a Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
So, if that
happens, let me stop you right there real quick. If they're there at 6, do you feel that that's the definitive way they have to go? If one of those 2 guys is there at 6, is that the definitive way where you would go?
that's not necessarily the definitive way, but I think that's ultimately what they would do should they fall that way.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Go ahead.
Like I was saying, if those two teams that I mentioned go wide receiver, I don't believe that they should reach for a Michael Waddell at number 6. I do think that a player like Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle, would fall to the Eagles at number 6. And I think that, yes, they have Andre Dillard, they have Lane Johnson, you have Jordan Mailata. The Eagles have proven, recent history will tell you that you can never have too much depth at offensive tackle. And Penei Sewell is a franchise caliber left tackle. When you have a chance to get somebody like that at the 6th spot, you take that player.
All right. So at number 6, if all the guys that you would hope to be there are there, what is the position of impact that makes the most sense to you?
To me, I would address the offensive line because to me the game is won on the offensive line and the defensive line. It doesn't matter how good your skill players are. If your trenches, if you have leaky, faulty players in the trenches there, it doesn't matter what you have there. Also, corner would work. The Eagles have put Band-Aids on the second cornerback spot for years, and I think it's time to address that. If you have a chance to get a guy like a Patrick Surtain, a J.C. Horn, a Caleb Farley, you do that. You make your team better that way, and the identity may change. You might have a little bit of opinion from Jonathan Gannon there, who does like those more physical, longer corners, and Patrick Surtain certainly fits that mold.
Patrick Surtain. I mean, if it's me, Andrew, I think at number 6. Look, the offensive line to me. I agree with you. They need to start getting younger and get upgrades, but I got to take my chance that those guys come back and give me another healthy season. I mean, Lane Johnson's 30, Brooks is 31. I'm hoping those guys could play 2-3 more years, right?
I mean, you would hope so, but history shows that you can't necessarily bank on that. When they banked on that in the past, look at wide receiver and Deshaun Jackson. In the past couple of seasons, you bank on getting that guy through, at least 13 to 16 games, 13 out of the 16 games.
Yeah.
That necessarily hasn't worked. And all of a sudden you're left, your plan that you went into the offseason with, it pretty much just kind of fell apart. And I think that would be malpractice for them to kind of bank on those guys staying healthy if you have a chance to add the top tack on the draft.
This is a good wide receiver class, probably almost maybe as deep as last year, if not deeper.
Yeah, and that's another thing. You can get another one of those guys in the 2nd round, in the 3rd round. And look, if Nick Sirianni is as good of a wide receiver developer as he's being pegged, it shouldn't be a problem. He should be able to get the most out of these guys, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside included.
All right. Because linebacker, I don't know if they're going to take a guy at 6, Parsons maybe, but 37, I feel like there's a couple guys, Nick Bolton, Baron Browning, Chez Surratt. Surratt's interesting. He played quarterback at Carolina, and then they moved him to linebacker. The dude was a stud. Dylan Moses, people forget about him at Alabama, but he's a guy who, because of the injury, he might be there at 37. There's some good linebackers. So in round 2, maybe finally they address that spot.
I think that would be the way to go. And if you look at what the Colts have done over the past couple of seasons, getting Darius Leonard in the 2nd round, I believe it was in 2019, they selected Bobby Okereke in the 3rd round, and who is one of the most underrated linebackers in football, by the way. So they put a higher price tag on the linebacker spots than the Eagles have. So I think that kind of ideology that's kind of went by the wayside with the Eagles in the previous regime may all of a sudden be in play in the 2nd round.
What about Davion Taylor, though? Just dating back to last year, I'm not saying that they shouldn't look at other options, of course, but, you did draft him in the 3rd round, and we were told that he was a project.
True.
Should we be expecting him to go out there and play next year?
Well, I mean, when he was drafted, Hunter, to be honest, I had a 5th-round grade on him, and I honestly thought that he was 2 or 3 years away from being ready to contribute to an NFL defense. But the Eagles have made this error over the past few seasons in assuming that certain players are going to take that leap. They made that assumption with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. You make that mistake again with Davion Taylor, and you don't really address it until the 5th or 6th round this year to add some depth. That could be a problem.
All right, couple wide receivers, maybe in round 3. Your thoughts? Amari Rodgers, all right? De'Ami Brown, UNC, Elijah Moore, And who's another guy like? Maybe Wallace from Oklahoma State.
My answer would be D, none. I would go with the wide receiver. I would go with Dwayne Eskridge, the wide receiver from Western Michigan. He's going to be a guy that, to answer your question, that I think will be in play in the late second round. He's currently at the Senior Bowl right now, getting off to a good start. You talk about players that are good in open space, much like a Jalen Reagor. That's Eskridge right there, and he also doubles as a punt returner and has these different. And he can get deep on a team, and his route running is very advanced for a player at this stage of the pre-draft process. So I think there's a lot to like there. If you mentioned Amari Rodgers, is why I say that, and Tylan Wallace. So in similar size, similar type of skill set, I would go with the Dwayne Eskridge personally.
Yeah, Rodgers is. I mean, that dude's super productive. Clemson, it's kind of those guys to me. Rodgers, especially Moore, feel like slot guys, and I don't know what the heck they're going to do with Reagor. Is he going to be a slot guy? Is he going to be an outside guy? You got Fulgham. Can Sirianni get more out of J.J. Arcega-Whiteside? What does he see in Fulgham? I think the wide receiver position is going to be so intriguing. Dillard versus Mailata, very intriguing. What happens at center if Kelsey retires? That's intriguing. They got to get younger on the edges. So I guess edge rusher comes into play somewhere. So much to discuss. We'll do it throughout this offseason leading into the draft. And Andrew DeCecco, Football at 4, will be a part of it here on Football at 4 and the Sports Bash. Andrew, that was good. Thank you, man.
Yeah, man. Take care.
All right. Now you know his blood's going. He's got it. He's ready to go for draft talk. I gave him 4 receivers. He said D, none of the above.
That was great execution out of him. It's exciting stuff, though. I'm starting to get a little juice stuff for that.
This morning I woke up, it was all drafted up.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but you kind of pushed me into that direction of really starting to process, okay, what's next? I'm overblown right now with all this emotions. You got the Flyers that look piss poor. You got Ben Simmons that's pissing me off. You got JT Realmuto signing. So there's all these emotions coming from all these different directions. You're throwing draft on me, too. I got to find a way to get that in the mix.
Football at 4, it's brought to you by Dr. Lyle and Back. Everything from skincare to cosmetic surgery. Go to ilovelyle.com, 856-MAKEOVER. Proud sponsor of Football at 4 here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. It's powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, which you can check out tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.
How about this? I just checked the Anytime hotline number.
Oh, boy.
We got calls coming in about JT. We had so many from Sixers from last night, but as soon as the news dropped, you got people calling right in.
All right, well, we'll play some of those. We'll play the Sixers from last night. You want to do Sixers from last night?
Yeah, we can do that.
We'll do the Phillies JT stuff maybe in the 5 o'clock hour.
Okay.
Get some time for more people to, we'll put the number up on the video screen if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and we'll give a chance for more people to call that and leave their message. This is the Sports Bash.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tonight on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
What a save by Carter Hart.
The Flyers are in Jersey to face the Devils. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN, and listen live on the free mobile app.
Kendall Auto Plaza offers the area's best car and truck buying experience with 60 years of customer satisfaction and community service. What's on their 100-acre lot? A huge inventory of Ford, Lincoln, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Chrysler, and over 100 quality and certified pre-owned vehicles. Whether you use your car, truck, or SUV for work or play, discover why Kendall customers are so loyal. Kendall Auto Plaza, exit 10 of the Parkway on Stone Harbor Boulevard, or shop from home at KendallAutoplaza.com.
Dorothy Roofing. Call 1-877-97-KEVIN.
Hi, I'm Kevin Daly, the owner of Dorothy Gale Roofing. Do you have a leak? Do you need a new roof? Give us a call today for honest, wholehearted advice at 1-877-97-KEVIN.
Wizard quality comes with DorothyRoofing.com.
Beachcombing, baking cookies, learning French. Aren't these what you'd rather be doing than thinking about your Medicare prescriptions? Well, Walgreens is here to help you get back to it with convenient refill and pickup options. expert pharmacists to answer all your questions, and Medicare copays as low as $0. Zero. Which is also the number of cares in the world you'll have as you stroll the beach, eating cookies and speaking French. Oh la la. Walgreens.
$0 copays apply to Tier 1 generic drugs and select plans where Walgreens is a preferred pharmacy.
Interest rates are at an all-time low, making this the perfect time to buy a home or save money by refinancing your mortgage. South Jersey Federal Credit Union offers great rates, local decisions, and now through March 31st, a credit of up to $1,000 towards closing costs on qualifying mortgages. Visit southjerseyfcu.com. Call 1-800-582-7640 or visit a branch for information. Must apply by March 31st, 2021. Subject to qualifications and approval. Owner-occupied residences only. Other restrictions apply. Equal housing lender.
Pros bring something extra to every job. Now at the Home Depot, they also get something extra. Pro Extra, our free loyalty program built for pros just like you. Members earn perks with every dollar spent, like Pro Extra Dollars, a tool rental credit, and more. New members get $20 off their next in-store purchase of $200 or more just for signing up. Learn more at homedepot.com/Pro Extra. New year, more rewards, Pro Extra, only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
If you're struggling with a drug or alcohol addiction, now is the time to take action and get professional help. Call Recovery Centers of America at 1-888-RECOVERY today. You are worthy of recovery from your addiction, and calling RCA will be your first step in getting the help you need. Recovery Centers of America answers the phone and admits patients 24/7. And because safety is a top priority, all patients and staff are routinely tested for COVID-19. RCA's expert team of physicians and medical professionals will treat you with compassion and dignity and provide an evidence-based treatment plan that is custom-tailored to your specific needs. Recovery Centers of America at Devon and Lighthouse are local and in-network with insurance providers, so they're best-in-class inpatient and outpatient care, offered both in-person and via teletherapy, is affordable and accessible. Make this the year you conquer your addiction. Call today, 1-888-RECOVERY. That's 1-888-RECOVERY.
There's only one original stuffed crust, and it's only from Pizza Hut. The only place that gives you up to 3 toppings on your original stuffed crust for just $11.99. Order yours online at pizzahut.com. Ask or click for limited time offer. Extra charge for more toppings and extra cheese. Exclusions apply.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill and Brodes on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And now you can watch the show live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at 97.3ESPN.com.
Flyers at Devils tonight. Listen to the game on 97.3 ESPN. Kevin Durso, our Flyers insider, previews the game at 97.3 ESPN.com. And tonight at 6:20 during game night with Josh. I'm Mike Gill. He's Hunter Brody. And this is the Sports Bash. You can watch the show live. Go to 97.3 ESPN.com. You can use your Comcast voice remote. Just say, watch the Sports Bash. And you should be able to do it.
Crazy world we live in, huh? Just tell your remote.
How often do you do that?
Never. I never do. I have the option, but I seriously never do it.
Me neither.
But it's weird because I'll go to like my uncle's or something, and he utilizes it, and I always think it's strange. So like, you really do that? Like, hey, put on ESPN or hey, put on NBC. It's like I just normally move my remote to NBC and I'll click it.
Yeah, I don't do that either.
Yeah,
never. There's so many things, by the way, that this offseason and this team has me so intrigued by. I refuse to believe that this is just some dumpster fire team that's going to put me through the same type of season I had this year. I don't see that happening.
I hope you're right.
Normally I am, so everybody should feel good out there.
Is that how this works?
I mean, there's not too many times that I've just been epically wrong. You know, yeah, like picking a game here and there, but like, you know.
Well, we were all sold on Carson Wentz.
I like how somebody put this up on the where was that? Oh, here we go. Jeff Bone and Pookie watching on YouTube. Real talk. What quarterback hasn't had a bad season unless you're Brady? You know, that's not a bad point. Here's the thing. They have bad seasons, but not historically bad. Like, they had bad seasons to what their norm is. but not like benchable bad.
Right. If you looked at 2019 before that last 4-game run, you would say that's a down year for Carson Wentz. Now, he picked it up at the end. It was fun. They won 4 games. They made the playoffs. But ultimately, you can look at the yards and say, well, 4,000 yards without a 500-yard receiver, this and that. He didn't play up the standards before that 4-game stretch, but it wasn't epically bad, as you mentioned. So I'm on your side. Yes, quarterbacks have bad play, but we're talking about more than just bad play. We're talking about you don't even deserve to be in the NFL anymore. That's not the same thing at all.
If this wasn't a business and the Eagles said you're cut, that would be justifiable based on what we just saw. Somebody else's worst season, you wouldn't say, God, we got to cut this guy.
Right. No, I'm with you.
Wentz was cuttable.
Wentz was cuttable, yes. In theory, Wentz was cuttable.
Right. The only reason is because what he makes. That's it.
Well, and the optimism that he can grow out of that funk, right? I mean, the 1-year sample size is small to them to the point. Well, it's small in general. But
let me tell you this. If that contract wasn't signed, I think the Eagles would have jumped ship.
Well, that would be, in your words, would that be irrational, though, considering he's had success for 3 years and then he has 1 year like that? Is that something that you should just
It would be irrational if they didn't draft a quarterback in the second round who they felt, hey, we can play this guy. We're okay with that. Because then you wouldn't have a replacement. If you just cut the guy and Sudfeld was all that was left.
I still think that would be a very quick trigger on a man to do that. Yeah.
Might be, but I wouldn't be shocked if they were like, dude, we have another guy. We're not paying him. Let's get rid of him and move on. But that contract nullifies all that.
Right. No, I'm with you. I understand what you're saying.
But
unless you're Brady. Has Brady had a bad season? It's crazy when you look at his stats, right? I mean, 11 wins, 12 wins, 13 wins, Super Bowl, and the AFC Championship game. It's nonstop. It's unbelievable.
Well, here's what I would say of things that are going to happen in this offseason. It's going to be wild. Now, free agency hasn't happened, and some of these things can change. But as we stand, Dillard versus Mailata, right? Is Kelsey going to come back? Ertz decision. The wide receiving core. Does Sirianni give Fulgham a shot? Can he get more from J.J. Arcega-Whiteside? What does he do with Rager? Can he get anything from Hightower and Quez Watkins? Does Deshaun Jackson come back?
Yeah, see, if we're entering a season with Travis Fulgham and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside as guys that we need to rely on, I'm extremely disappointed.
Aren't you intrigued, though, that this guy has gotten a lot from receivers in his past?
I do think that that's something I value. I'm not going to act as if that's nothing to me, but that is something.
Yeah.
But
no, I'm just saying, I agree with what you're saying. If you don't upgrade at wide receiver and you're like, geez, but I'm saying just things that are going to be intriguing to watch.
Yeah, another one is opposite of Slay.
Who's going to play opposite Slay? Who's going to be the other side? Do they bring Jalen Mills back? What are you going to do at linebacker?
Yeah, so as you can see, there's lots of questions, lots of intriguing storylines here.
Yeah, and the quarterback position, oh, by the way.
Yeah, who's going to call the plays? Although I think we do know, but, it's just something to add to
Who's going to call the plays?
Yeah.
All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. All right, let's get to the anytime hotline calls. I said I would put the anytime hotline call number up on the screen, and I didn't do that. I will do that.
Okay.
But
do you need me to repeat it for you?
No, I got it written down right here.
Ah, look at you, prepared.
Yep.
That's right. You used to have to ask me.
Oh, I wrote it down.
You're right. You're a smart man who's never wrong. So that's two great
No,
qualities.
not never. Infrequently.
Infrequently. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a business we're in.
Infrequently.
Yes. I love it.
No, it's not like.
No, I know. I'm busting you.
No,
Yeah,
I'm talking about
notes.
I'm not talking about picking a game.
Right.
Or like that where you're
going big picture on
who's going to win tonight? You were wrong about that. I mean, come on.
Right. If that was the case, you'd be a millionaire.
Picture things.
I need to see some written down information.
You can start keeping track.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking we need to start doing. I need to have a whole journal, just of the Mike Gill journal. And we can write down the things you're right with, the things you're wrong with, and we'll move forward from there.
I like Cole and LBI says, don't let Andrew pump you guys up about Sewell. Don't worry. He's not selling me on that. I ain't taking alignment in with pick 6.
I don't think I'm picking a lineman with pick 6 here. There's too many holes, and I think you're right when you say you can hold on to this.
Options.
Yes, to hold you together to some degree. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to be an elite degree, but to some degree, do you have enough to hold on for another year or two? I'll take my chances.
I have in-house options to fix the injury problems I had last year. Now, if those guys end up breaking down and getting hurt again, that tells me now I need to upgrade my line. But if I'm the Eagles, I think Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks are here for 2, 3, 4 more seasons. I can't draft their successors now. I got too many other problems.
Because you have too many other problems, yes. If you didn't have that many flaws, then I wouldn't be against maybe looking that road. But you have too many holes.
And I had Dillard, who I don't know anything about, and I have Mailata, who I liked.
I just feel like they're Mailata has versatility. Mailata has versatility. Andre Dillard, it seems he's a one-man show. He's a one-position guy. It's left tackle, and that's it.
But I'm saying I'm not taking a left tackle before I find out if he can't play or not.
Maybe they know that internally.
Maybe.
But you would imagine if Dillard's not the guy.
Can play.
I was going to say, if you're internally and you think that Mailata can play and you don't think Dillard's the guy, well, then you have your replacement.
Correct. And then give me a full season of Mailata, and then if I find out he can't play, then I know, all right, that's a position I need to target. But I got to find out if these guys can't play before I quit on them. And if I have the 6th pick in the draft, I hope not to be in that spot again. So I got to make sure that guy is something I really, really need. And I don't think left tackle right now is something I really, really need.
I would agree with you on that.
And I don't think right tackle right now is something I really, really need. And I'm not drafting a guard or center at number 6.
No, you would never do that.
So to me, offensive line is out. I disagree with Andrew. I'm out on the lineman, and he knows the draft, believe me. And I think he's right that Sewell can play. I just don't need him.
You just have too many other problems with the team that you need to value before, which is crazy to say because we all know how important the offensive line is, but I just think you have it's crazy though, because if we look at what happened this season, it's almost like we're conflicting ourselves because the offensive line was such an issue, but here we are saying they have enough depth.
Issue because of injury.
Right, but I'm just saying we're here saying they have enough depth, but the reason why we struggled so much last year is because the depth failed.
Well, there's a difference between the depth failing and having to play 14 different line combinations. When you have depth, it's like one guy gets hurt and then that guy fills in and maybe somebody leaves in the middle of the game and someone goes in and then, you don't have 14 different combinations and then criticize your lack of depth.
No, I know, but I just feel like the guys that we are excited about are also the guys that we were disappointed with at times last year.
Because they all had to play together. If I only had to play one or two of those guys at a time, I think those guys are serviceable. Like if I have a line that's Kelsey, Sayamala, Mailata, Herbig, and Johnson, okay, I think Herbig's okay. Let's say Brooks plays and Driscoll has to play right tackle. Well, then Driscoll, I think, can handle himself. It's when I got to play 3 of those guys at the same time, and then the next week they're playing next to somebody different, and then the next week they're playing next to somebody different again, and Matt Pryor's playing left guard one week, right guard the next week, right tackle the next week, playing a couple snaps at left tackle. Mailata's over to right tackle. I mean, that's where you say, okay, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I wonder what a Mailata, Isaac, Jason Kelsey, Herbig, Lane Johnson line would be like. I mean, I think it's doable. I just wonder how effective it is. Mailata, Isaac, Kelsey, Herbig, Lane Johnson.
Fine. I'm okay with that. If they play together next to each other for the season, I think you're much better.
Now, what if it's Mailata, Isaac, Kelsey, Brooks, Driscoll?
Fine. Because the guy, again, the continuity of playing, I think Driscoll can handle himself. He's not going to be Lane Johnson. He's not going to be a Pro Bowl level guy, but he's not going to be a turnstile. And he's going to be next to Brooks, which is going to help him out. It's when you have to play Driscoll, Herbig, Pryor, and they're changing sides of the line all the time. That's where I think Herbig and Driscoll show they can handle themselves in this league.
I think they can handle themselves. I do. I just question.
Pryor, no, you can't win with Pryor.
Pryor's unplayable, in my opinion.
Unplayable. You only need to match just one number, and Pryor's not the number. 1 to 15. to win cash pop on the New Jersey lottery. The more numbers you play, the better odds of winning. So pop in and play because anything can happen in Jersey. This is the Sports Bash. All right, we'll play those Sixers Anytime hotline calls coming up next.
Turn it on. Leave it on. The Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
On some models, excludes Corvette with GMF financing, excludes prior sales. See dealer for details.
Start the new year in a new Chevy at Bennett Chevy. Come see all the hot new 2021s and get our famous unbeatable Bennett deal. GM supplier employee pricing, plus you keep all the rebates. And right now, that could be up to 25% off MSRP. Yes, up to 25% off. Shop all you want, but there's just no beating Bennett. Looking for pre-owned? Bennett will pay you a minimum $7,000 for your trade towards any pre-owned in stock. That's at least $7,000, regardless of how or even if your old car runs. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And you will absolutely love dealing with Bennett. There's no games, no gimmicks, just real deals and no need to negotiate because our non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads and start the new year in a new Chevy at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
If you're struggling with a drug or alcohol addiction, now is the time to take action and get professional help. Call Recovery Centers of America at 1-888-RECOVERY today. You are worthy of recovery from your addiction, and calling RCA will be your first step in getting the help you need. Recovery Centers of America answers the phone and admits patients 24/7. And because safety is a top priority, all patients and staff are routinely tested for COVID-19. RCA's expert team of physicians and medical professionals will treat you with compassion and dignity and provide an evidence-based treatment plan that is custom tailored to your specific needs. Recovery Centers of America at Devon and Lighthouse are local and in-network with insurance providers, so their best-in-class inpatient and outpatient care, offered both in-person and via teletherapy, is affordable and accessible. Make this the year you conquer your addiction. Call today, 1-888-RECOVERY. That's 1-888-RECOVERY.
Last night's sleep? Interrupted by pain? Tonight, silence it with new ZQL Night Pain. Restful sleep, now with powerful pain relief. ZQL Night Pain combines America's #1 sleep aid with a maximum strength pain reliever. So you can fall asleep fast and wake feeling rested, because pain should never get in the way of a great night's sleep. New ZQL Night Pain. Silence pain. Sleep soundly. Available at retailers near you.
Let's face it, football fans, 2020 was kind of like... But Unibet Sportsbook is betting 2021 is going to be a bit more like... And it starts with a big game. Sign up for $20 free today, $21 on game day, and two $250 risk-free bets. Let's do 2021 better. Unibet Sportsbook. Crazy about the odds. Must be 21 or over to play and physically located in New Jersey. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We have a 12-year-old German Shepherd named Sophie, and she became overweight, stinky, greasy coat, and lifeless almost. Then about 4 years ago, we found out she had several vertebrae fused together. She was unable to walk. The vet told us Sophie was going to have to be euthanized. I thought, I've got to do something. DINOVITE.com. I remember Sophie starting the Dinovite, and she from day one has loved it. She is no longer stinky. She is full of life. Dinovite healed Sophie. Dinovite is nutrition. I truly recommend that people not wait until the vet recommends euthanasia. You have to get them on Dinovite right away while they're healthy.
Dinovite for life. You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dinovite from DINOVITE.com.
There's only one original stuffed crust, and it's only from Pizza Hut. The only place that gives you up to 3 toppings on your original stuffed crust for just $11.99. Order yours online at pizzahut.com. Ask or click for limited time offer. Extra charge for more toppings and extra cheese. Exclusions apply.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, 4:49 on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN, streaming live video on our website, 97.3ESPN.com. You can watch the video through our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter channels. All right, you want to play some Anytime Hotline calls here. The Anytime Hotline number is posted, by the way, on the video screen. So if you're watching on the video screen, you can check out the video stream, and that's where you can get the Anytime Hotline number, 856-442-9805, and just leave your message and give us an Anytime Hotline call. All right, these are the calls from the Sixers game last night from you people out there. So let's see the frustration. I have a feeling these are going to be frustrated calls, right?
I would imagine so.
All right, let's start with this one.
We were duped for 2 games into thinking this guy was back to normal. But he's not. We saw 3 fouls in 7 minutes. 3 fouls in 7 minutes. I mean, I get Embiid's not playing, but they're the worst team in the NBA. You have to be able to win a game without him. It's ridiculous to watch. This guy's not stepping up to the plate. Blake Griffin was literally guarding him under the rim. It's embarrassing to watch. I can't take it. I can't take it.
I'm not even look, the 3 fouls in 7 minutes is brutal, but I think the third and the fourth foul specifically pissed me off more than the first 2.
Well, he's been out of control a lot.
Big time.
Yeah.
Like the Blake Griffin pump fake. And speaking about Blake Griffin, what a bum this guy is, huh? Like you know
what's funny?
Blake
I was at a game last year, and he looked like his game evolved so much. And now, I mean, he looks like he's just a broken down shell of himself.
Injuries.
But, dude, he was shooting threes last year. He looked like it was like, where did he come from?
Yeah, there was a moment in time, I think it was like 2 years ago, where he really put together a nice season.
Might have been 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think they even went to the playoffs, if I remember correctly.
Well, they traded for him, and they snuck in as the 8 seed.
Like, he's averaging 12 points this year in 33 minutes. Yeah, but he averaged 25 the year we were talking about. I mean, it's crazy to think about the difference. I want to see how much he shot from 3.
Look, I thought Simmons was awful last night, to be fair. I mean, I'm not killing him. I mean, I thought he just looked disinterested.
He did. By the way, 36% from 3 he shot that year. Crazy.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin.
But it's almost like we expect the guy to have a great game every single night of the week.
Who's this, Ben?
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. I mean, like, does he have to be the most dominant player in the world every single night of the week? No, but he gives us this effort too frequently, right? I mean, I feel like this effort of, man, he didn't feel like playing, or he didn't show up, or he had too many turnovers, too many offensive fouls. Like, that's happening too much. I'm okay if it happens once in a while. If Embiid gives us a 9-point performance in the next couple of games after giving us 40 a couple of times, you go, all right, look, he's not going to do this forever, every game. Okay, I can live with it. If Ben gives us great play for 5 games in a row, then as a stinker, fine. But that really hasn't been the case.
All right, let's get a couple more Anytime Hotline calls from the people.
This team is horrendous without Joel Embiid. We're starting off with Ben Simmons getting in foul trouble right away. That is so sad, especially in the game where he needs to step up without Embiid. He just gets 3 fouls right away. And then the first 2 in the first quarter, he got him with 7 minutes left, bro. It's not good enough. And dude, I should say this. Dwight Howard, every time he gets the ball in offense, when it's not an oop, he loses the ball. He's only good for rebounding oops. But again, what can you expect? He's 35 years old. Like, Shake Milton needed to do better. Steph Curry, I don't know why he didn't play. But our starters suck today. Besides, Tobias Harris is a stud. Tobias Harris, really balling out.
You don't hear that much.
He should be. Yeah, we got to win tomorrow.
He hit on everybody on the roster.
Everyone. And he missed that. He didn't hit on Tony Bradley. If you're going to rip Dwight Howard, I think you got to tip your cap to Tony Bradley. He had a +8 rating while Dwight Howard was -23.
Dwight Howard, if you're expecting him to come in and give you 20 points in whatever Joel Embiid gives you, come on. I mean,
no, he was bad last night though. But yeah, you shouldn't expect for him to be this force.
He has a definitive role. 15 minutes. Anything you're asking him to do different from that is deviating from the plan.
Well, if you're Doc Rivers, then should you start someone else when Joel's not available?
Start Bradley.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe you should. And I think he alluded to it a little bit last night in the post-game show.
I'd almost start. Yeah. That's a good point. I'd almost start Bradley and keep Howard running with that second unit.
Right. Just allow him to be that version of himself. No reason to start him.
Him or the kid Reed. Give him a couple minutes.
Right. Right. In these regular season games, I think you can get by with that, and it probably does your team best.
Funny, the one guy that didn't get criticized was Tobias.
Yeah, right. Another thing that just came to my mind, could you play Ben at the 5 if you need to in some of these games? But if you want to try and keep everything as close to normal as possible.
Maybe against that team.
Against that
Plumlee,
team, you might be able to get away with it.
Plumlee's still getting a check.
I have no clue.
Ben Simmons.
Was that it?
That was the call.
Can you repeat that?
Ben Simmons.
Well, all right. I guess Josh Jackson thinks the same thing. You saw the video of him on Twitter everywhere last night. Slow motion of him calling him a you-know-what.
Yeah, I did see that. Anytime hotline.
I'll tell you this, man. This loss to Detroit right now shows us that Ben Simmons got to go. Because even with Ben Simmons, man, we can get somebody like a Bradley Beal out of Ben Simmons. Because Ben Simmons right now, before Ben Simmons would up his game when Embiid was out, but now he's just the same dude. Doesn't even know what he's doing, taking it to rack. He's not making our team better. I think right now the best choice would be go get Beal, go get somebody who can score.
If you can get Beal, I'm okay with it.
If we can get Beal, I will be satisfied.
We did this last week, though. Any other guy you got to give me a realistic guy you would trade Ben Simmons for. I don't know how many of them are out there.
I think Beal is the most realistic, and Levine is I don't think it moves my needle enough.
There was an article I was reading in the Chicago paper. They say they would not want to trade Levine for Zach Simmons.
Wow.
Ben Simmons.
Wow, so they wouldn't even want to do it.
No.
That tells you a lot, though, no? Or does it?
Well, I think it shows you that Zach Levine has become a much better player. They
don't value Ben Simmons that much.
That too. All right, Sports Bet's brought to you by the all-new Matt Blatt Nissan. They're open on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township next to the Home Depot. Visit them online at mattblattnissan.com. When we come back, it's Tuesday with Thompson. The PT is in the house. How frustrated is the PT with the Fly guys? Who's more frustrated, PT or Carter Hart?
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Tatum, and Harris knocks it down with a right-hand jam. Timeout Los Angeles, and he is fired up.
The Sixers host LeBron and the Lakers.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
Ooh, a fondue set. Now I need to find a coupon code.
Not anymore, Susan. Capital One Shopping instantly searches for available coupon codes and automatically applies them at checkout.
Wait, instantly?
It's called shopping smart, not hard. Download Capital One Shopping to your computer for free and let it do the work for you.
Don't mind if I fondue.
Haha, that's kind of cheesy. Capital One Shopping. It's kind of genius. What's in your wallet?
Savings and available coupons vary.
Body Armor Light isn't just a sports drink. It's more than a sports drink. With no artificial sweeteners, no sugar added, and only 20 calories per 16-ounce bottle. Body Armor Light is changing the game when it comes to hydration. Plus potassium-packed electrolytes, coconut water, antioxidants, and vitamins make Body Armor Light the perfect choice for your next workout and your active lifestyle. Body Armor Light, more than a sports drink. Head to drinkbodyarmor.com to learn more.
Are you tired of car dealer ads that boast about deals that sound too good to be true just to find out they can't live up to the promise? That's why we've been saying for so many years that it's worth it to take the short drive to Woodbine. At Gentilini Ford, we've built a reputation for taking care of our community and treating customers like family for 65 years with the best deals, real value, and no empty promises. I'm Paul Gentilini, and I assure you no other dealer in South Jersey beats our deals. We've been built Ford proud since 1955 as South Jersey's longest-standing Ford dealer for a reason. So check us out to experience the Gentilini difference. Give us a call at 609-861-0100. Visit us online at Gentiliniford.com or stop by today at 555 John S. Penn Boulevard next to the airport in Woodbine, New Jersey. We're just a short drive from anywhere.
Just a short drive from anywhere. Gentilini Family Motors.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Assurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
So you've got an oil change to do. We can get you everything you need. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Valvoline Max Life High Mileage Motor Oil and an STP oil filter for just $26.99, plus a $5 bonus reward if you're an AutoZone Rewards member. Not a member? We can sign you up fast right here in store or on AutoZone.com. Getting the job done just got easier. Terms at AutoZone.com/rewards. Restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
A message from your neighbors and friends at First Bank. We've been serving residents and businesses of Sea Isle City and the surrounding communities for more than 130 years. Today's challenges, while unique, are another opportunity to show our strength and resilience. Our commitment to you remains strong. Whether it's using our drive-through services, bank by phone, the First Bank mobile app, or online banking, we're staying strong with you. Be safe and be secure. First Bank, here for you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Do it next on ESPN Radio.
The NFL and Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin.
His size will not allow him to just plug into any system and dominate.
Strong opinions, in-depth analysis. The biggest stories in the NFL.
I don't think it was the right move. The guy that won a Super Bowl 3 years ago deserves more time to try to figure it out.
Complete coverage of the NFL with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. Mornings at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN News.
Yeah, this season I actually had little business cards made. Eric Rubino, Fantasy Baseball GM. You can keep that. Sure, the players are famous, but come game day, I decide their fate. What's that? Oh, you make $20 million? Well, I don't like your attitude. You benched? No, I'd never bench an all-star, but I could. That's also why I like Progressive's Name Your Price tool. With options based on my budget, they never throw me a curveball. It's a little baseball reference for you.
Get options based on your budget with Progressive, even if you're not a legend in your own mind. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
The radio home of the 76ers.
Simmons on a drive and down the lane with a right-hand jam.
WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City. 97.3 ESPN. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
All right, final hour of the show, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, Sports Bash is brought to you by Dorothy Gale Roofing. There's no place like your home. And if you have a leak or need new roofing, call Dorothy Gale Roofing, 877-97-KEVIN, or visit them online at dorothygale.com. Mike and Brodes, we got so many comments coming in over on the video stream. If you're watching us live over on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, we will put your comments up on the screen and kind of continue to react to those. And I'll tell you what, man, this Philly signing, I like this comment that came up on the board. It's kind of apropos, I think. So let's bring that up before we get to the PT, because we'll get his reaction that JT Realmuto is back with the Phillies. But this guy says, hey, Brodes, the Phils just clinched fourth. They signed Realmuto.
It does feel that way. But I saw Josh tweeting about this as everything kind of went down, and I think he made a great point. Like if you want to take that next step, this is step one of that, right? You want to build this roster down the road. Step one is bringing back JT. So it might not be sexy in terms of how this makes them move up or down in terms of the NL East right now. But if you want to eventually do that and move in the right direction, well, you have to bring JT back.
PT, today was reported that the Phillies are bringing back JT Realmuto, 5 years, $115 million. So are you excited, or are you just kind of like, I don't, you know what? Like this team, it's hard to get excited about because it feels like they're still so far away, even though this is a good signing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard to get excited about, but I was relieved would be the word that I would use. Relieved is probably a good word, right? Because, I mean, in the beginning, you thought that there's no way that he was going to come back to the Philadelphia Phillies. And look, one thing I didn't hear you guys talking about before I came on is the fact that you've now made your superstar, Bryce Harper, happy as well. Remember how much Bryce Harper was campaigning to bring JT back. So, management, if you will, listened and found a way to get JT to come back. I mean, it didn't hurt that the Mets went in a different direction. The market started to change, but there still were no guarantees that JT was going to be in a Phillies uniform. The guy that says fourth place, I mean, he's just trying to stir things
up.
Well,
what place do you have him in?
Probably third. I mean, it's at least a whole other spot up. You know, I mean,
though, they're not better. They're not better than the Braves. That's for certain.
100%. I would agree with that. And then you look at the moves like, all right, so the X factor is what the Mets are going to be, but the Nationals, you know, they go out and spend all that money for Hand, and they're trying to revamp them. The Nationals are trying to make another run at it and see what they can do. So, I mean, listen, it is a tough division, but I look at it like this. I mean, you know, JT Realmuto, at least in the short term, is still the best catcher in baseball, is still able to do things that, you know, whoever else they were going to find couldn't do. So I'm glad they found the money. Yes, it's one position. There are other positions on the baseball team, but I'm happy with it. I'm relieved. I'm not like ecstatic, but I'm relieved that they found a way to get it done.
Yeah, you almost have to give them credit for waiting out the market. You know, the sign JT, sign JT, sign JT. And I remember at the time, I'm like, this changes so much. And there was a breaking point where I got a little bit upset with them because I thought that they were almost taking it too far. But at the end of the day, you know, waiting was the best thing for them.
Yeah, that's the Tom Petty song, right? The waiting is the hardest part. I mean, and listen, at the end of the day, Brodes, you could get in a situation where they might get back Didi Gregorius with the same situation where they just wait out. I mean, listen, people have talked about like Freddie Galvis or Andrelton Simmons. And, you know, I mean, if you just sit around and wait, maybe the market will change and they can get Didi back too. And that's really getting the band back together, right?
I would prefer Didi over the other options. You guys?
I would agree with you.
100%. I would prefer Didi over the other options. The question is, will Didi's agent and they go for it? I mean, I thought it was really funny too. The AAV of Realmuto's contract is $23.1 million. Oh, okay. So he could say that he got a higher number than Joe Mauer did back in the day, right? Oh, okay. Sure. We, you know, 110 million, 115 million. I mean, come on, 220, 221, whatever it takes.
Well, I mean, you mentioned, third place, fourth place, whatever it is. I mean, realistically, this team is a couple of signings off from being, in my mind, a playoff team. You don't agree?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, obviously it starts with the bullpen. You know, I wrote my Shore Local column today and was talking about the fact that they've gone out and signed guys that can throw 95 or better, you know, and loaded up on velocity, including the local guy, Gill, Mike Adams. How cool is that? You know, I mean, it's going to be like the rookie all over again. This is Jim Morris 2.0.
Yeah. That is a really cool story, by the way. I mean, for those of you who haven't seen it or heard about it, apparently, you know, he was seen on a video throwing 98 miles an hour after throwing about 88 miles an hour in college and stuff. At 26 years old, he gets signed by the Phillies. And you know, that was all basically from a local video. I mean, they were doing the video. The guys from BFA were doing some showcase on Martin Luther King Day. And here's you know, Mike Adams, who's been teaching a lot of these kids with the baseball center over there, and all of a sudden they see him on the video throwing 98 miles an hour. Okay, we'll take you.
Yeah, Gil told me about it when we were here in the studio off the air. Then I go home, and on The Athletic, Megan, who covers the Phillies, had a whole piece on it. I was like, are you kidding me? It's like crazy how quickly it all happened. It's a crazy story.
Well, and it's been one of the themes of their offseason, guys, is that they are looking to add velocity in their bullpen, which has been horrible. I kept saying the Phillies can't find one guy in the whole organization that can throw 96, 97, 98 miles an hour. They couldn't find one guy.
Connor Brogdon, maybe?
Yeah, I think I used, what was it, JoJo? What was the guy? There was
Romero.
One pitcher. Yes.
JoJo Romero.
That was the one pitcher they had last year that averaged 94 or above. And what's so funny about it is that, you know, here's Mike Adams trying to train high school kids to get college scholarships, trying to train them in the mechanics of how to throw harder. And then all of a sudden, you know, I mean, obviously he didn't go by a roadside sign and just pitch a baseball past a speed gun on a construction sign. But, you know, he basically broke down the pitching mechanics, put him into his own body. And all of a sudden, instead of 94, he was hitting 97, 98. I mean, that's going to get anybody's attention.
Sure does. And this Philly signing got some people's attention too. JT Realmuto, if you're just joining us, they've reached an agreement to bring him in on a 5-year deal, $115 million. So the Phillies get JT back. He will be behind the plate for 5 more seasons with the Phillies. So it's really good news to hear. But I guess, PT, the next question with this Phillies offseason is, does that make you feel like there's something more? Did Dombrowski say, hey, guys, look, let's get JT and let's get more. Like, we're not there yet. Like, I don't know. Do you feel confident that more's on the way, more help?
I mean, the big question is how much money are they willing to spend? You know what I mean? And after they lay off half the front office.
To be fair, Peter, did you see the contract? They deferred a lot of money because of the pandemic. Like, he's not going to get some of this money until later on down the road. So he's making $23 million this year, but they're not paying him $23 million this year.
Right. I guess that's part of the secret, too. Listen, Dombrowski's been known to go out and open up the checkbook, and we are in different times now. The Phillies have been crying poor basically all last season and a little bit into this season. So do I feel confident they're going to go out and make some big splash and get a lot of names? No. I like the bullpen names that they're adding. I like that they're sort of tinkering and trying. I mean, because obviously the biggest detriment to any success they might have had last season was the bullpen was atrocious, right? It was absolutely atrocious. So if they can work on that, put some arms in there and find the right pieces. I mean, here's the deal too with shortstop is, it's not just Didi Gregorius, it's Didi, it's Andrelton Simmons, it's Freddie Galvis, I mean, there's a lot of options out there for them to be able to figure out a piece to slot in.
I'm a little nervous with, and I hate to say it, but with Spencer Howard and Vince Velasquez. Like, here's your starting rotation of Nola Wheeler, which I love, and I like Zach Eflin. I think he's he can be in your starting rotation. I don't love him at 3, but I like him in the rotation. And with Vinny V, and I'm not really sold on Spencer Howard, which is concerning because he's one of the better prospects that you've been waiting for.
Right, and you just hope, Brodes, that, year 2 of Spencer Howard is when the light bulb goes on and the stage isn't too big. I thought there were some times other than his first start, and, keep in mind that baseball is a game of, studying charts and tendencies and trends, and once the league quickly figured out what Howard could do and couldn't do, he had a hard time lasting into ball games and being able to be effective out there on the mound. So you hope the light bulb goes on for him. Remember, by the way, you bring up Vince Velasquez. God, is that guy still on our team not doing what we want him to do? I mean, Gill and I for years have talked about how Velasquez has some of the nastiest stuff on the staff, and yet he probably slots better as a reliever than he does as a starting pitcher, and then you sit there and you ask yourself, he was Vinny Velo. He was the one guy that had heat. Is he going to be able to make an impact? So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot more question marks than answers, but I do feel relieved that JT Realmuto is coming back.
So does the JT Realmuto signing give you a little juice for Phil? Because I had none up to this point. And I'm not saying it's changed. PT, they're bringing back legitimately the same. How do you look at your fans and say, we stunk last year, and we're bringing back the same flipping team? I don't understand how they, with good conscience, can do it.
Well, because they're bringing back the same starting roster, but they're trying to bolster the bullpen, and the bullpen was their key Achilles heel. Okay. I mean, I'm not sure, Archie and Jughead and the rest of the guys that they've signed to the bullpen are going to be the guy. But, look, they're trying to find diamonds in the rough, right? They're trying to find cast-off guys or guys that are available. And Archie Bradley throws hard. Maybe he can come in and do it. The guy from the Giants comes over. You give him a second chance. Perhaps those guys are guys that can get the job done.
Yeah, I have no problem with Bradley. And I like the chance that they're taking on guys throwing harder. That's a good point, Pete. They have upgraded the bullpen. PT made a good point. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah, you don't hear that often. The Vinny V thing, though.
Every so often.
Yeah, right? The Vinny V thing. Remember, I think it was 2016,
Vinny
16 strikeouts. I was like, this kid's a stud. He's going to be unbelievable. I was so happy that day. And
if Velasquez starts again this year, I might blow a blood vessel.
He is. There's no doubt about it. It's already written out. He is starting.
I don't know how any credible baseball mind like Dombrowski could say, I want this guy in my rotation.
After you go past Nola and Wheeler, what do they really have, right? And that was the issue that they had last year. After you got past 2 legitimate starters, who did you have after that? The rookie Spencer Howard obviously played like a rookie, threw like a rookie, and had issues. And after you get past that, who do you really have? Who's your guys?
This is interesting. Shout out 407's watching on YouTube. Says if the bullpen wasn't as bad, the Phillies make the playoffs easy last year. You know what?
That's true. Expanded field. But yes, they would have made the playoffs last year. The bullpen was absolutely abysmal. I thought of another guy's name in there too, Gill. It's Coonrod and Alvarado, and then Naris coming back, and then they signed this Bradley, who could potentially be a closer. So I mean, you got a left-hander in Alvarado, you got a right-hander in Coonrod. This Quezada throws 97 miles an hour. I don't know much about Ian Hamilton, but he throws 94 miles an hour, right? Romero, Brogdon, you're getting some flamethrowers out there.
Don't forget your boy Neris.
Oh, Hector Neris, baby.
Don't make him the closer. Maybe he can be effective.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. What was worse, the Phillies bullpen or Carson Wentz?
I would almost have to say Carson Wentz simply because of the interest level. Carson was abysmal. But the bullpen was really bad. That's like 1 and 1A, buddy.
Yeah, I think we care more about Carson Wentz because it's the quarterback. But if you want to look at this, rationally, if you will, I do think the Phillies bullpen was technically worse than Carson Wentz.
Well, do you remember the Buffalo game, or when they had to play the Blue Jays in Buffalo and how brutal that was?
Yeah, well,
that was the doubleheader, wasn't it?
That was the doubleheader. The bullpen blew both games.
That was so brutal.
The difference is Wentz at one point, like the Phillies had no guy. Well, I take that back. Workman was not bad the year before. He was like 10-1 with a 198.
He had a good ERA in Boston when you picked him up.
But it wasn't like he was going to win the Cy Young Award.
No, not to that.
So that's like Wentz would have been the MVP of the league, and he was this bad. These guys are just a bunch of, poop stains.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, literally, what they gave you last year was like a used pair of underwear.
Nobody wants that.
No. Joe Show watching on YouTube. Phillies lost $145 million last year due to the pandemic. Yeah,
according to them.
Well, they didn't even technically lose it. They just didn't make it. Does that mean they lost it? If you know what I mean? Like, it's not like they had to give up $145 million. They still made a ton of money. They just didn't make that one extra $145. It just depends on your perspective, I guess.
Right, and ask them that they may not have made $145 million, but ask the people in the front office or all the longtime 20 and 30-year Phillies employees that are no longer an employee of the ball club if the team lost money or not. There's a lot of people out there saying it's fuzzy math. Well, there's a lot of people that aren't working for the Phillies anymore that are saying, they must be hurting somewhere.
Okay, I agree with all that stuff, but my question is, didn't everybody else lose money too? It's not, how did the Phillies somehow lose more money than everybody else?
It's a good point. That's an excellent point. And you have a billionaire owner, right? I mean, we're not talking millions, billions this guy is worth.
Yeah.
Come on. Open up that checkbook.
So JT Realmuto signs, get the details on the contract. Frank Close has more at 97.3ESPN.com. Peter, Saturday night, it was good to see you, my friend, by the way.
It was great to see you, my friend. Happy birthday again. It was a wonderful time.
Now, PT rolled in. Flyers shirt, Flyers hat, Flyers mask. He was all flyered up.
For this team?
By about halfway through the first period, he was on the food sampling.
Yeah, he probably had Phillies mask on by that first period.
I wanted to go back to the car for a change of shirts. I mean, good Lord. They were so bad. I was thankful for the Mike Gill birthday party so that I didn't have to sit there. We didn't have the audio. I watched the first period with the audio, but second period, third period, I'm kind of having conversations, glancing over, up there's another goal, having a conversation, up there's another goal. I mean, that's abysmal, boys. I mean, that is so bad, and it's for two reasons. One, the fact that the defense core is all shaken up right now, and two, they're missing Couturier, so their penalty kill is brutal. The penalty kill right now, when they struggle, they don't struggle a little bit, they struggle a lot, and we've had 2 6-1 losses already. And that tells you that they're not the team that everybody thought they were going to be.
Well, let me ask you this, PT, because Schweimer and I were getting at it a little bit. He's got a lot more faith than I do with some of these defensemen. But with all due respect, I don't think Robert Haig is very good. I don't think Justin Braun is very good. I don't think Gustafson's very good. I don't think Friedman's very good. That's 4 defensemen on your team that I don't think is very good, and they're having to play legitimate minutes right now. Is that a correlation with all the defensive breakdowns?
Well, and Gustafson probably is public enemy number 1. I think Robert Haig has his spots. I think
Gustafson's going to be a scratch tonight.
Yeah, you're going to put in to try and, but you're not gaining anything defensively. It's worth a shot.
Right, you're getting a puck-moving defenseman to replace a puck-moving defenseman. You're getting an offensive-minded defenseman to replace an offensive-minded defenseman. The only thing you hope is that maybe Ghost doesn't turn the puck over as much as Gustafson had been doing. And I don't know if that's a victim of no preseason, not being able to settle into partners, whatever the problem is. But yeah, I mean, look, who would have thought, Phil Myers' name doesn't jump out sometimes as this all-star elite defenseman, but losing Couturier and what he does defensively on the ice and losing Phil Myers, that's been the 1-2 punch that have turned this Flyers team putrid all of a sudden. And let me tell you something, boys. If they go out and bleep the bed tonight against the Devils, the stinking Devils who give up more they have in the last couple of games, but if they go out and do that again, then we've got a real serious problem on our hands. Right now, you can chalk it up to, it's early in the season. They haven't found the rhythm yet. Oh, if they lose to the Devils, a Devils team that also is giving up a ton of shots, then they're in big danger.
How much blame goes on Carter Hart? I mean, look, there's so many times where it's a 2-on-0 right in front of the blue paint. What's he supposed to do? With that being said, he allows a short side. I think it was Marchand who had like a power play goal, short side that he should be able to make. So you see him throw his stick across the crossbar and freaking out. I don't know what to do with Carter Hart. I don't think it's all his fault, but I don't think he's playing as sharp as he should either.
I agree with that, and I think the statute of limitations is up that I could tell this story. Last year when Michael, my girlfriend's son, and I were in San Jose for that abysmal West Coast road trip, we were down in the tunnel area where the Flyers came off the ice. So they lose to San Jose. Hart as the goalie is the first guy off the ice. The minute he gets into the tunnel, he broke his stick in the tunnel, scaring the bleep out of Taryn Hatcher, who was getting ready to do her post-game interviews and all that stuff. I mean, and even like there were like workers and stuff walking through there and all these heads turned. It sounded like a gunshot went off. And Michael kind of looked at me and I looked at him and our eyes were like wide as saucers. Like, wow, looking Hart is pissed, right? And, but we were there as guests. You're not supposed to like then go report that everywhere or tweet out that Hart lost his cool. The only difference is now this year he did it where everybody could see it. Did you see Brodes where they're all asking him, hey, Hartsy, you got a stick? Hey, Carter, you got another stick for me? Like, they're trying to make a joke of it and say, like, good. It's good that he got that, man.
Real quick, Brodes, because Provorov, this is going to be his third different pairing, right? In 7 games. He's going to play with Ghost tonight. That's his third different partner out there.
Doesn't phase him a bit. He makes everybody look better.
Yeah, no doubt. And I hate to make it seem just because one guy was lost, but the difference is Provorov is now having to play more of a Matt Niskanen role when last year he was able to be Provorov. And then Matt Niskanen was more of that, the anchor, if you will. That's the word I'm looking for. He was more of the anchor, and Provorov could be more offensive and jump up more in the play. Now he needs to be more of that reliable guy, and that's a huge effect.
One thing we haven't brought up is, Couturier's not playing. And Couturier, to me, is the Ben Simmons. He doesn't score a lot of goals, but he can score goals if you need him to. But he does all these other things that you don't appreciate as much. But when he's not there, you're seeing how much they're missing him.
I mean, he won the Selke Trophy for a reason, finally, Gill. He's a two-way player. He won the Selke. He was always a good defensive end player of the ice. But then he also scored timely goals and gritty goals and things like that they needed on the other end of the ice, too. And they absolutely miss his presence on such a weird injury, too. Now, it is good news. So I'm not thrilled that, Ghost is Ghost. But Couturier is skating. He's not ready to come back yet, but at least he's skating. And he said he's been hit like that, Brodes, a million times, and it was just such a fluke injury that he got hit like that and got that rib injury.
Yeah, now you're starting to see, it's sort of like, Gill, when we were talking about this offensive line. When you need 5 of these new offensive lines every week, it's going to be an issue. Now with the Flyers, it's like, okay, now Bunneman's in there, and now Scott Lawton has to move up, and then this guy has to move up. And eventually, as much as we love this depth, Morgan Frost is out. Now this guy has to change. Now it's like, okay, you can only sustain that for so long until it really starts to make this offense struggle.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, I think Couturier was the first key to go down. And then, that your combination reference is so good because guys, especially D-men, so much rely on unspoken, communication and chemistry of, I just know what he's going to do with the puck. And I know he likes to do that and he's going to go back and get it. And when you're flip-flopping those pairs repeatedly game to game, you can't build any cohesion, can't build any chemistry, and it really shows. And it shows in turnovers in your own end, which then tend to end up in the back of the net. Well, it's Moose tonight, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So
it is.
We'll see how he does, and Carter Hart can take a little break.
The Moose.
Is that a statement from AV to not go back to the kid, or what do you think here?
I don't know if it's necessarily a statement. Maybe he thinks that Moose has good numbers against the Devils or something like that. You know, I don't think. I mean, they're going to play what today's Tuesday and Thursday, right? So I mean, they probably want to slide. And Elliott hasn't been bad when he's played, right? Elliott, wasn't he the stopper in Buffalo? Yeah. So I mean, hey, go back to that well again and see if you can throw in your backup guy. They rally around him and play well.
All right, Tuesday with Thompson here on the Sports Bash. Don't forget, happy hour Friday with the PT. He'll be back, and of course.
But you know what, PT? It's a lot of fun. There's nothing like
yes. Can I have hotcakes with sausage only, and a sausage biscuit, no egg. 2 sausage biscuits, no egg. There you go, Billy. You're getting this live on the radio.
Is he in a drive-through right now? It's amazing.
Back by popular demand.
Oh, I'm never going to be able to live that down.
I don't know how you. I mean, you gotta be better.
What are you talking about? I wasn't even supposed to be on the show. I got shouted out to come on the show, and then listen. I was not interrupting my hotcakes mission. I was getting my hotcakes.
Right, but you don't call until after you order. You didn't have to call right in the. If you know you haven't ordered yet, you call after the order, not before. I mean, come on.
Can he play it again?
You know what, PT? It's a lot of fun. There's nothing like
yes. Can I have hotcakes with sausage only, and a sausage biscuit, no egg. 2 sausage biscuits, no egg. There you go, Billy. You're getting this live on the radio.
Is he in a drive-through right now? It's pretty amazing. It really is. It's gold.
You think like to yourself, hey, I'm going to call in, but let me order first. Obviously not, but like.
No, what I thought was that I'm going to call in, but it was close to the top of the hour. I thought I'm going to call in. They're going to take a break and bring me on as a guest after the top of the hour. That's what I thought. I didn't realize it was call in automatically on. Here we go.
That is fair. It was coming into that hard break. It was like that 45 to the hard break segment, and he called in, and I kind of just. Well, I was producing the show. I kind of just went for it and threw him off.
Well, didn't you say to him, hey, I'm in the drive-through line?
No, we didn't have any conversation. We had zero conversation.
Hopefully PT can call in. Then PT literally called in within seconds, so I kind of just went for like a boom. Hey, you called for it. Here it is.
You called in, not them called you.
Correct.
You could have called in after the window.
But he's saying he thought I was going to wait for the hard break, and then we would be the first.
Right. I would have a conversation with the producer, whose name is Hunter Brody, and say, "Hey, Brodes, I'm at the McDonald's drive-through, but I'll be through in just a couple seconds. You're going to take me on the other side of the break anyway, right?"
Well, we had it.
Say, hold up, I'm going to throw you right on.
Yeah, I just threw him right on.
Yeah,
you're assuming that he talked to me at all, Brodes. He didn't talk to me at all.
On your side, Pete Thompson. I'm blaming him.
Yeah, he's blaming me now. But the reason why this is, I would never normally do that, of course, but this is a different scenario. Billy goes, I hope PT can call in. PT called in within 3 seconds. So I told Billy in his ear, hey, we got him. He hopped right on. Bang. And I was like, boom, you're in.
Yeah, that's how it went.
Yeah, well, there's 2 things at fault here. 1, Pete should have waited until after the order. If he knew he was coming up to the window, he can call after. Right. 2, the producer, you gotta, hey, Pete, how you doing? Are you all set?
Yeah,
he might say, I'm not ready yet.
But here's the difference. I'm acknowledging that I made a mistake.
Okay.
PT's over here going, he thinks he did the right thing. There's a difference here. I should have been better.
He was excited.
I've never said that I did the right thing. I just said that I'm getting my hotcakes no matter what. And as I've said to you guys before, I screwed up the order. I only wanted hotcakes, one order. I got hotcakes. I got hotcakes with sausage. I had too many McMuffins. I mean, I was a mess.
It deserved to be a mess.
But you know what, PT? It's a lot of fun. There's nothing like
yes. Can I have hotcakes with sausage only, and a sausage biscuit, no egg. 2 sausage biscuits, no egg. There you go, Billy. You're getting this live on the radio.
Is he in a drive-through right now? And to defend me a little bit, they had enough dialogue where that was like they talked long enough for that to be moments and minutes after.
Where were you in the line?
I was like number 4, and it went faster than I thought.
The best part is that was probably the best part of the show.
You might be right. Don't let Billy know that. He's probably a little upset right now. You have to apologize.
Oh, he came up with an all-time classic clip.
That's true.
I mean, you can't top that. You
No,
got a
you're
guy
right.
ordering a meal.
But Schwein would take offense to that. You know, he can give it, but he can't take it.
Nah,
Well, I knew someday, hey, it's Pete Thompson would get replaced. So thank God it was with hotcakes.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we could do something where it's, hey, it's Pete Thompson entering the drive-through. So that enters the drive-through call. We can kind of combine the two.
You gotta edit Schwein's. Schwein laughs at everything. He laughs like uncontrollably no matter what anybody says. He's laughing and I can't even hear him.
Billy, my grandmother died. I'm sorry, that's terrible. I'm sorry, Schweiber, wherever you are.
All right. Well, he's got like one of those nervous laughs where he doesn't know how to finish, so he just ends whatever he's saying with a laugh. You know,
Mike. I mean, come on, Mike.
So
I'm telling you.
in the drive-through, and he's just laughing his way away. You know, like
at least Brodes did recognize what was going on. Billy would just kind of stop, but Brodes was like, "Wait a second, I don't
even think Billy processed it. Maybe he thought that you were at home talking to someone. Like, really, Bill, ordering like that?
Well, you can get a DoorDash to deliver you that now.
Well,
that's true. Could do a nice DoorDash.
Right?
I was talking to my remote. That's what I was doing, but nothing. You know.
All right, Peter.
All right, guys. Good to talk to you.
See ya. All right, that's Tuesday with Pete Thompson. And when we come back, Anytime Hotline on JT Real Muto, you'll hear what the fans had to say about JT signing with the Phils. Coming up next here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tonight on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
What a save by Carter Hart.
The Flyers are in Jersey to face the Devils. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN, and listen live on the free mobile app.
Models excludes Corvette with GMF financing, excludes fire sale. See dealer for details.
Start the new year in a new Chevy at Bennett Chevy. Come see all the hot new 2021s and get our famous unbeatable Bennett deal. GM supplier employee pricing, plus you keep all the rebates. And right now that could be up to 25% off MSRP. Yes, up to 25% off. Shop all you want, but there's just no beating Bennett. Looking for pre-owned? Bennett will pay you a minimum $7,000 for your trade towards any pre-owned in stock. That's at least $7,000, regardless of how or even if your old car runs. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And you will absolutely love dealing with Bennett. There's no games, no gimmicks, just real deals and no need to negotiate because our non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads and start the new year in a new Chevy at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Do you love a good cigar almost as much as your family? Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but you can find that perfect cigar at Smokers Haven. With 5 New Jersey locations, Smokers Haven has the finest selection of cigars in the area, like Ashton, My Father's, Romeo and Julieta, Monte Cristo, and more. All from the finest tobacco leaves and hand-rolled by the world's finest cigar makers. All locations are fully open. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. See all they have and their locations at smokershavennj.com.
Beth just said goodbye to her polka dot heels.
Goodbye.
She sold them on Mercari to Shelley, who gladly said
hello.
Just after she said goodbye to a set of bright orange cookware.
Really, Mom? Citrus?
They sold quickly on Mercari to Dan.
Oh, these are groovy.
Then Dan sold his rollerblades on Mercari.
Bye-bye. I bike now.
Which took us back to where we started with Beth, who said,
hello, rollerblades. Whee!
Buy and sell almost anything from home with Mercari, your marketplace. Find it on the app stores or Mercari.com.
You took an antacid, and now your frequent heartburn's back. Stop heartburn before it begins with Prilosec OTC. Its unique delayed-release formula blocks heartburn at the source for 24 hours, so you can extinguish heartburn before it starts. Make the switch to Prilosec OTC today and live heartburn-free. Prilosec OTC. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Do you crave the thrill of success and all the opportunities that come with it? Are you an ambitious professional who seeks an exciting career opportunity with unlimited earning potential? Are your achievements most rewarding when they also benefit others?
If so, then you may have what it takes to join South Jersey's leading radio and online marketing sales team at Town Square Media. Discover your passion for advertising sales and earn a guaranteed salary while you learn. Leverage newfound skills in integrated marketing campaign design and help local businesses recover and grow in the coming year.
With commission gains and hands-on training, your income grows right alongside your skill set, so you'll never be making less than what you're worth.
Call Michael Rubel, Market President, at 609-910-5249 to schedule an interview. Kick off a challenging but fulfilling career in advertising sales with Town Square Media, Atlantic City. Positions are competitive and won't be available long. Call 609-910-5249. Town Square Media is an equal opportunity employer.
There's only one original stuffed crust, and it's only from Pizza Hut. The only place that gives you up to 3 toppings on your original stuffed crust for just $11.99. Order yours online at pizzahut.com. Ask or click for limited time offer. Extra charge for more toppings and extra cheese. Exclusions apply.
You can watch the Sports Bash live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Search 97.3 ESPN or visit our website, 3ESPN.com.
Yeah, so you can watch the show live on our website, 973ESPN.com, through our YouTube channel. Just go to 973ESPN.com, watch the show live. You can interact, engage. We have a lot of fun with the people over there who leave comments, and you can put the comments over there. We'll put them up on the screen. We can react to them, just like you guys can call the Anytime hotline, and we can react to those calls, which we're about to do on the signing of JT Realmuto. I would imagine no one's going to be negative about this.
No one would be negative, but I wonder if they have the same vibe that we do, where we're happy that it happened, but what does this mean for the team? Are you supposed to be excited that, like, for example, the Blue Jays, right? They're signing people left and right, and they get George Springer. Their hopes now is to compete in that competitive AL East and actually try and win a division. We don't have that feeling because of JT being here that we can now go compete for the division.
Right, like what is the expectation now that this happened?
I hate to break it to you. It's just to hang on and be competitive. That's where we're at this year. Be competitive. But I always think about this. Did anyone in a million years, and I'm not saying the Phillies can do this by any means, but just to put it in perspective, did we ever think the Nationals would win a World Series a couple of years ago? Did we look at them as the clear favorite to go win the division? Like
they had elite pitching that they went out and got.
But and they had nice players, but I'm just saying, no one looked at them as like a legitimate World Series, like they are winning the World Series. I'm not saying the Phillies are going to do that, but is it possible that we think they're just going to be and maybe they make the wild card team? Like, that's what I mean. Not saying win a World Series.
I think the guy who brought up the point on the YouTube channel that if their bullpen wasn't complete dumpster fire last year, they probably would have made the playoffs. No, it's a 60-game sample size.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, could you imagine if the expectations are what they are right now for us, which is like 4th team in the NL East, and they end up making a wild card position, we would look at that as a success, wouldn't we? I'm not saying I think that's going to happen, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Dude, if they make the wild card, I mean, come on, that's a total success.
Exactly. So I'm just saying, like, we don't know what can happen. We've seen teams who we thought were going to be okay, be better than okay, or like I think this team's going to be okay. So if they were better than okay, that's very possible.
Now, Swime just texted me, says, I don't laugh at everything. I don't think there's anything I've ever heard that he doesn't laugh.
It's sort of like Josh.
Josh laughs at everything, but Billy has like the it's like the crutch laugh.
Right.
Like he laughs because it's like
he doesn't know what to do, so he laughs.
Yeah, like he doesn't even notice that he does it.
Exactly.
That's the difference.
Right. It's like a comfort thing. When he's uncomfortable in a situation, the laugh comes out.
Yeah, like he'll say like, "How you doing? Hey, Bill, it's great to be on." And he laughs. Like that's like his. He doesn't even understand that he's doing it. I bet you if he goes back and listens to his show and counts how many times he laughs, he would say to me, "You know, I didn't realize I laughed so much."
Now, with everything we said about Schwab, that's what he reached out about, the laugh. I guess he wasn't bothered by any of the other
breaking
comments.
my stones. I don't laugh that much.
Okay.
Josh, does he laugh a lot? We'll let Josh, because Josh doesn't lie.
Right. Josh would never lie.
No, Josh would tell us the truth. The Billy laughs like uncontrollably.
So here's how it happens.
Billy will be doing the interview. Now on the blah 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 sports hotline is former Eagles head coach Dick Vermeil, and Dick Vermeil comes on, and Dick says, "Hey, great to have me on the show." Blah blah blah. Billy will turn around and be like, "Hey, tell me about the time that you met Viz Papali." And Dick will make like a quick quip, and Billy just starts laughing hysterically for like a good 5 seconds.
Do you pot him down on the soundboard when that happens?
I do sometimes.
How about that?
So you won't be able to actually hear the evidence that he does laugh?
No,
you don't want to laugh over the person you have
on. He goes back and listens.
Distracting to the guests. They lose track of
No,
their train of
I'm not.
thought.
That's not what I said. I said so he can't go back and then listen to the evidence.
Oh, there's plenty.
There's plenty. Oh, yeah.
Oh, listen, I'm not outing that you guys are
right.
I hear.
Time.
I laugh uncontrollably at the fact. I said this guy laughs at everything. Nothing has been said funny here, and it's one of those nervous laughs. It's people do it. He does it so much he doesn't even realize it. Josh laughs at everything.
Yeah.
But I'm laughing at something. I'm not laughing.
No, you're not laughing at anything either.
That's true. You do sometimes do the crazy laugh. Something I just realized, too. When you bring on Josh, you're like, all right, Josh, tell us something. You asked the question. But
I didn't get an answer.
He needs, so let me tell you what happened here. He goes into this spiel of what occurred.
I asked the question
funny.
and I didn't get an answer.
Right. You should say, yes, he laughs too much.
I asked, am I wrong in saying
no, you're not wrong.
Billy laughs uncontrollably. And it's not. He doesn't even understand. Like it's like a nervous laugh.
Right. He's not really Billy. It's a twofold nervous.
It's like a crutch. They call it a crutch.
But it's also like he doesn't know how else to react sometimes.
Right. Like he's done asking the question, and the guy doesn't realize that he's done. So Bill just kind of follows it up with a because he's like, and the guy's thinking, wait. I thought there was more to that question, and Bill ran out of question to ask, so he just filled in the gap with a nervous laugh. I mean, he makes a couple valid points. I don't know that he's going to get his wish.
I don't think so either. I really don't. And
what if they sign Trevor Bauer?
I'd be stoked. I'd be excited. Do you think that they would have enough to go from 4th to 3rd?
They signed Trevor Bauer. I think they're in 2nd.
You go 2nd.
The guy sold me with the point that he made that if their bullpen wasn't so bad, he's right.
So you just got sold from one comment on a Facebook feed.
I mean, he makes a valid
What
point.
if that was Schweim who put that in there? Would you, you don't know who's behind the typing. If that was Schweim, you would then fully be 100% on a Schweim thought.
Well, it doesn't have to be the person who I'm agreeing with or not. It's the thought that it brought it back to my mind that he's right. Like I'm kind of disconnected from baseball season a little bit. He's right, though. If their bullpen wasn't that bad, they would have made the playoffs last year with this lineup and that starting rotation. That bullpen was why they didn't make it.
True, but you don't have the expanded playoffs this year. Or the DH.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And those are 2 good points.
Yeah.
But you get Trevor Bauer, I'm excited.
Yeah. Sadly, I don't think
it would be like
it's
the
a
year when
reality.
the Phillies got Andy Ashby. You might be a little too young for that. They signed, they had Kevin Millwood, and they went out and got Ashby.
I'm thinking of Cody Ashby.
And Ashby was a pitcher who was with the Phillies and stunk. He went away into San Diego, and he actually became really good, and they signed him to come back, and he was horrible. But they had him, and there was another guy they had from Minnesota. Oh, man. They had a pitcher. They had Millwood. They had Ashby.
Yeah, he played at 91 and 92 for the Phils. Then he went to Colorado in 93. San Diego from 93 to 99. Then in 2000, he came back to the Phils.
Yeah, and they had a guy that they got from Minnesota with the Twins who they signed, and he was like the 3rd guy. And you were like, man, they went out and got some, and all 3 of them stunk. I mean, Millwood was blah. He was like one of them guys that was on the Braves, and he was like the 4th guy on the Braves. And you're thinking, man, if he's the 4th guy on the Braves, you come here, he's the 1st guy. And he was just average. Man, who was I know he came from the Twins.
We'll have Josh on it, looking up the research. The one thing I thought about when we were talking to PT, though, when I was thinking about the starting rotation, as much as I'm not sold on Eflin at the 3, can we make the argument that Eflin at the 3 is significantly better than what you got out of Jake Arrieta as the 3 over the last couple of years? Or no, maybe not significant. Maybe that's a strong word. But
better. He was disappointing but average.
True. We just had so much high expectations for him because he was a big-time player for the Chicago Cubs. So we just expected him to be to that level. Oh, man, he was disappointing.
He's actually throwing for teams this week.
I saw something about his name popping up. I mean, I wouldn't take a flyer on him if I'm another squad, unless the money is so low.
I have Eric Milton. Yes, lefty. Eric Milton. They got Milton, and he was good, and he stunk here too.
Classic Philadelphia.
Yeah. I have said for 2 years that if I'm a team, I would have been the Phillies. I would have put Arrieta in my bullpen. I mean, because he gave you 2 good innings. Put him in the bullpen. Hey, give me your best. Because he didn't have any more than 2.
Teams don't like the ground ball pitchers anymore. Well, Zach Wheeler does a fine job with it. You talk about the double play balls he gets himself into. It's tremendous. But, in the analytical world, this whole ground ball pitching thing, you got to be rare to succeed with it.
All right, Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, watch the live video at 97.3ESPN.com. You can watch us every day. If you have YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, just go to our website. The YouTube video will be right there.
Yeah, it's a fun time. And what else is a fun time is utilizing DraftKings for their golden ticket giveaway with up to $55 million in prizes up for grabs. All you have to do to get your share of these huge prizes is enter the DraftKings free Super Bowl prediction challenge. Once you submit your picks, you will get a free instant prize up to $25,000. The top prize is $1 million. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use promo code 973 when you sign up. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Eric Milton, 14-6, which isn't bad, but 476.
Oof.
Not good.
Oof.
All right, when we come back, got the 5 to wrap up the show. Don't forget Flyers hockey tonight. It is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. By the way, this guy says, I did call out Josh for saying Deuce Stanley. Back with more.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Ed Harris knocks it down with a right-hand jam. Timeout Los Angeles, and he is fired up.
The Sixers host LeBron and the Lakers.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
There are a lot of car dealer ads that boast about deals that sound too good to be true. You know those ads, the ones that promise higher trade values and discounts with a disclaimer. The truth is you can get a good deal anywhere, but isn't it about time you deal with a dealer that gives you a no-nonsense deal at the best price? At Gentilini Motors, we've built a reputation for taking care of our community and treating customers like family for 65 years, because treating the customer right always ensures the best deal. I'm Paul Gentilini, and I assure you, no other dealer in South Jersey beats our deals. Give us a call at 609-861-9000. Visit us online at GentiliniChevrolet.com or stop by today to find new roads in a Chevy and experience the Gentilini difference for yourself at 500 John S. Penn Boulevard, next to the airport in Woodbine, New Jersey. We're just a short drive from anywhere.
Just a short drive from anywhere. Gentilini Family Motors.
Buying some pretzel sticks?
Excuse me?
This is your wake-up call from TracFone Wireless.
Okay.
What if you didn't eat all those pretzel sticks by the end of the month, so this store took them back?
Good luck.
That's how some wireless companies are with your data, but TracFone Wireless gives you unlimited carryover data with active service, so you keep what you pay for. Plans start at $20 a month.
Wow, that's cool.
Sir, are you bothering the customers?
Yeah, hang on. This is your wake-up call, people. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. Available at major retailers. See terms and conditions at TracFone.com.
If you're struggling with a drug or alcohol addiction, now is the time to take action and get professional help. Call Recovery Centers of America at 1-888-RECOVERY today. You are worthy of recovery from your addiction, and calling RCA will be your first step in getting the help you need. Recovery Centers of America answers the phone and admits patients 24/7, and because safety is a top priority, all patients and staff are routinely tested for COVID-19. RCA's expert team of physicians and medical professionals will treat you with compassion and dignity and provide an evidence-based treatment plan that is custom-tailored to your specific needs. Recovery Centers of America at Devon and Lighthouse are local and in-network with insurance providers, so they're best-in-class inpatient and outpatient care, offered both in-person and via teletherapy, is affordable and accessible. Make this the year you conquer your addiction. Call today, 1-888-RECOVERY. That's 1-888-RECOVERY.
Have you ever wanted to learn a new language like French, Spanish, or Russian, but thought it would be too difficult and time-consuming? Then go to Babbel.com and try it for free. Babbel works because it's built around real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you will actually use. In 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. Babbel uses a modern conversation-based technique that makes language engaging, fun, and memorable. It starts by teaching you words and phrases. Then, sentences gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations about real-life topics. Babbel is created by language experts who use the spaced repetition method to help you learn quickly and remember what you learned. With Babbel, you can speak a new language. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
You ready for competition? It's time for 5 questions.
3 ain't enough, man. I need 5.
Number 5 will always love you. 5 times, not 10, you big stud.
All right, we got 5 questions ready to wrap up the show as we get you ready for Flyers hockey tonight. Josh will have Flyers insider Kevin Durso on tonight at 6:20.
All right, does Shane Gostisbehere get on the score sheet tonight? Doesn't necessarily need to be a goal. It could be an assist.
He'll be a -3.
Wow. Oh, man.
He'll be on their score sheet.
I guess that answers the next question. Do the Flyers bounce back?
Yeah, 4-3 win.
Oh, well, geez. Oh, man. All right. 4-3 win.
You got
Nico. And he's -3?
He's out there every time they score.
That's a tough day.
Yeah, COVID, man. I mean, he's
true.
probably, would imagine, not 100% like lung capacity.
That's true. Let's look positive here. West Virginia, did they impress you last night?
That was a great game.
I watched it on like perfectly.
Yeah, well, right when the Sixers game ended, I went over and there was like a minute and something left, and I saw Deuce hit the triple, and what's the kid's name from Texas Tech? McClung, right?
Something like
kid
that.
from Texas Tech. McClung.
Yeah, McClung. We were right.
So he comes back and fires one down, and then. Man, that timeout sequence was outrageous.
It really was.
Timeout.
A little too long.
Yeah.
Oh, like I'm sitting here going, yo, fellas, I mean, I got things to do
That's
tonight.
where, like, we talk about coaching in the NBA and coaching in college. College coaches have such a bigger hand than they get. They overcoach so much.
No doubt about it.
Big W for the Mountaineers.
It really was. Last item you bought off Poshmark. Buy something recently?
Yeah, I've got 2 WV shirts.
Well, you buy things every day. I thought maybe there was something new from
Just
that
sold
month.
a couple things, actually.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay. Last question here. JJ Redick is apparently available. Sixers Twitter's all over the place. Would you be interested in bringing him back?
Yeah, I'm not giving up a lot. Would you do Thibault for Redick? Just straight up. Young guy for old guy who could shoot.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I don't think the money matches up. You'd have to do
Right.
a couple other things.
Hypothetically,
But if they were the
yes.
2, are you done with Thibault?
I mean, I'm not done with him. I think he's got upside.
You doing Maxey for Redick?
Probably not.
Doing Milton for Redick?
Probably not.
Okay. I like Redick. I think he would be he'd give you another shooter. Defense, though. Turd burglar. All right. Game night's next.
Napa know-how.
Getting $20 back when you buy a Napa Legend premium battery is a win-win. Getting it from the best car people around is a win-win-win. Getting it before you're stranded somewhere, that's a win-win-win-win. Save $20 when you get a Napa Legend premium battery. And if that sounds like a lot of wins, you're right. Quality parts, helpful people. That's